right, what's going on, Consciouztv? Sorry about that. I had to gather some receipts super quick. If you're part of the Replay Gang, remember you can always fast forward through the intro. So just fast forward through the intro. Before we get into it, go ahead and thumbs up the video until it's absolutely stuck. You guys know that thumbing up the video not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you are thumbing up the video, you are literally knocking on the digital door of another Conscious crew member and telling them to get their black asses into the sanctuary. Speaking of getting your black asses into the sanctuary, shout out to the 53.4K. All right, we're on our way to 53.5, 54, 60, 70, 100 billion, girl. On period. Teamwork, make them up. Dream work. I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you guys also have a notification bell set to all so that you never miss a day or hour. If you also appreciate the king and love everything that we do around her, you can always donate to the platform on Cash App at $/Consciouztv and or paypal.me/Consciouztv. Consciouztv spelled just how it is here on the platform. Conscious with a Z on the end. Last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be your YouTube community wall, your Snapchat, your MySpace, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a damn where you at, Fat Lady Link. Just let them whores know that we're loud, we're live, and we're certainly in color. And with no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on, Conscious crew? Let me speak to you guys. What's going on, Medusa? Hey, Miss Mika. What's going on, Queen B? Hey, baby girl. Hey, Lumen. What's going on, Ian Gardner? Hey, Lady D. Hey, Tiff. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Amber. Hey, Miss Dawkins. What's going on, Arinda? Hey, Tyler. What's going on, Latera? Yolanda. Hey, Kimani. What's going on, Perry? Hey, Lauren. What's going on, Gabriella? Hey, Elijah. What's going on, Miss Lily? Hey, Keita. Hey, honey. What's going on? Billy Williams. Is audio or video lagging, or it's my cheap Obama phone? I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me well? If you guys can hear me well, give me a 1 in the chat. What's going on, Ave? Hey, Coco. Hey, CD with your fine self. Love your content. Thank you, boo-boo. I love that you love it, child. Hey, you guys. What's going on? Give me a 1 in the chat if my audio is audioing. What's going on, everybody? All right. So yeah, it's your cheap Obama phone, Lee. It's the Obama, honey. He's out of office right now, child. All right, so we got to get into some things, y'all. Y'all know it's been a crazy jam-packed week, girl. It's litigation and lawsuits and criminal charges and people getting arrested all goddamn week, baby. We are under a Pluto's retrograde. All of this negative ass news, honestly, is taking a toll on my body. After reporting on the Cassie Diddy trial for 3 days, girl, like I literally had felt physically sick. Like I was literally just sick, like sore throat the whole time, like had like some symptoms of a cold. Sometimes when I get Sometimes when I get like overstimulated as a super empath and I'm not regulating my nervous system, I'm taking in too much foolishness, my body and my health will like start to actually manifest said foolishness. So, you know, I be having to pull back, take some days off, go meditate, go enjoy life, let the sun, let all things love in, rejuvenate myself like Rogue, kind of go and absorb, you know, that solar energy from the sun, child, get the vitamin D, having to recharge. So I'm back. But because I came right back to all hell, you know, we still pushing through. I still feel very fatigued and exhausted. It's just a lot, child. But I'm pushing through, and I'm going to continue to take care of myself. And I advise that you guys also take care of yourself too. Now we're here to get into some of the past, which is also, once again, on brand for Pluto's retrograde. It's all about the past and introspection and learning from the past. You guys know that the past is coming back to hunt all of us as Tory Lanez attempts to fight for his goddamn life behind bars, because he was literally fighting for his life on Monday when he was stabbed 14 times by an inmate who is already serving life in prison for capital murder of a 13-year-old girl that he was in a pedophilic relationship with. Tory Lanez ended up on a breathing apparatus, and then 2 days later, there was a press conference held by his attorneys, basically attempting to rally up noise and let it be known that they will be begging the governor of California for a pardon due to quote-unquote non-new evidence, which is supposedly Kelsey Harris's ex-bodyguard slash driver, who is alleging 2 years after the fact that he overheard Kelsey speaking to her husband and admitting to initially having the GUN and talking about how her and Tory wrestled for the GUN and that it dropped and popped off 2 rounds, which of course we've already debunked, and of course there's going to be nothing that comes of that. However, I'm going to also say never. You know, Tory Lanez and his team created a petition which 100,000 signatures have been signed. This is also supposed to be presented to the governor under this Trump administration. I really don't know what the hell to expect. At surface glance, I want to say that it won't even make it past the secretary, yet alone to the governor. But you do have to leave room for possibility. So who knows? The governor may, in fact, pardon the shit out of Tory Lanez. But the odds of that are going to be incredibly small, just like his height. Okay? Now, as a result of all of that buffoonery going on, girl, of course, we are revisiting Tory Lanez, as people want to see him free. There's people who want to see him exactly where the hell he belongs. There are people who are still speculating whether Kelsey Harris, in fact, has something to do with this ooting, considering that GUN residue was found on both her and Tory Lanez, even though everybody's DNA could not be identified on the actual weapon, and Tory Lanez's DNA was excluded from the cache. But there were so many strands of DNA on the actual weapon that nobody's DNA could be identified on it. So what that at least tells us is that multiple people came into contact with that GUN at some point throughout the day or at some point throughout that night, based upon witness testimony and based upon Kelsey Harris's own testimony in the months following the actual trial. We know that she came into contact with the GUN because her and Tory tussled and fought 2 different times. And Tory and Kelsey both have different attitudes about why that GUN was in either one of their possessions. So we'll get into all of that. We're going to listen to Kelsey's original tell-all to the investigators, which was pretty explosive and shocking considering how she acted on the stand, which she had to confuse. She had to, like, she didn't know what the hell going on. All of a sudden, she had amnesia, honey. She was pussy popping. She had to go meet with the judge in the chambers, girl. Okay, was having a total panic attack, girl, but she's losing her goddamn mind. But she told a very fluid, chronological narrative that detailed the events of that particular day and night doing the actual interview, which was very convincing for a lot of people because, you know, it's not until you really telling the truth that the truth kind of just tells itself. You know, it doesn't need a lot of commas. It doesn't need a lot of zigzagging. You can kind of just shoot it from the hip. And that's exactly what Kelsey did in that interview. So we're going to be revisiting that interview courtesy of Street TV. Shout out to Street TV. He was one of the boots to the ground influencers and content creators who was actually attending the actual live trial. And he also had obtained all of the exhibits that were showcased throughout the trial, such as the infamous jail call from Tory to Kelsey, one of the neighbors' ring door audio that captured the 5 rounds that were launched off by Tory Lanez, Kelsey's interview, LAPD body cam footage, and you can see Megan in the back of the ambulance crying, chopper footage, also the injuries that Kelsey had occurred. You know, it was, I mean, I think it was like what, 70 something plus pieces of evidence, girl. I mean, it was loaded. You know, prosecution had that shit loaded down to the ground. So we're going to be getting into all that. Shout out to Street TV. He's amazing. And let me see here. Hold on, y'all. I'm still collecting receipts, child. I want to start off, though, by getting into this GoFundMe, okay? Remember, yesterday, we were getting into an update on this inmate that stabbed the shit out of Tory Lanez and all of that, and come to find out the inmate, once again, you know, he's a sex offender. He's in prison right now for capital murder of a 13-year-old girl who was a runaway that he sexually, physically took advantage of and ultimately ended up killing. He also is in prison for burglary. He's also committed a bunch of heinous ass crimes and stabbings while being in prison, assault on other inmates. And of course, you know, he is being investigated right now for the assault on Tory Lanez as well. Now, there was a alleged GoFundMe that was said to have been started by the hotties, aka Megan Thee Stallion's fans. All right, this kind of caused a bit of a controversy once people kind of learned the rep sheet of the inmate who was being financially supported for trying to peel Tory Lanez wig cap back, girl. All right, because once people found out that he was a sex offender and he had killed a 13-year-old girl, people was like, y'all, find another way to troll Tory, but don't support this man for what he did to Tory, considering why he's even and what he's even in prison for. All right, so the hotties kind of came under some scrutiny. Well, dope social media investigators such as the opinionated Truths on Twitter had actually reached out to the owner of GoFundMe, Jacob Wells, and had asked him about the validity of this said campaign, where someone had created a campaign trying to raise $20,000. I think the screenshot that we showed yesterday had raised 2,000 of that 20,000. But people had noticed that like there wasn't no actual link to the GoFundMe, that it was just like a screenshot that was actually going around. So Opinionated had reached out to Jacob Wells, the owner, and this is what Opinionated initially said, which I'm going to show their Twitter. Let me make sure I got all my ducks in a row. Okay. Y'all, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. We need all of that. All right. Opinionated on Twitter says, I'm only posting this to see if it's accurate because I have receipts from only Stan, Barb, or Tory accounts or Stan accounts posing as bloggers that started this narrative. Now it's on mainstream media. Every troll account that posted this before it got on mainstream media did not include a link to the fundraiser. They only posted screenshots. I want to throw that out there. So as you guys can see here, Opinionated had added Jacob Wells, saying, was wondering if you could verify if there was a fundraiser on your platform for this person. I'm just trying to verify if it was AI made or fake, no harm or malice to your company, etc. Thank you. And said this post is not meant for anyone to go to the man's account at all, so do not harass this poor man. All right, well, Jacob responded and said, da 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 da, it's fucking fake. All right. So that GoFundMe for the inmate is not real. It is a sham. And it seems like, based upon what I'm going to show y'all next, that it was two different perpetuations of this narrative. One included somebody making up like fake photoshops of the account, making it seem as though people had already started donating to the account, which was fake. Those seem to be pure Photoshopped, AI generated images. But apparently, according to Jacob, there actually was a account created, but it also is fake. Whoever created it didn't even create it in the right currency. Okay, this is what Jacob had to say further about the fake GoFundMe for the inmate. He posted this, replying to Real Tea with Tia, who I guess has said, I don't know what Tia said, but it made Jacob reply to say this. I never said it never existed. What I said was it was fake. There was never a legit fundraising campaign that actually received any donations like the one pretended to show. So in that manner, it was fake. The real campaign that was the basis for the fake one was created in CAD, which is Canadian currency, and never received any donations. And here's that screenshot. Okay, so this was so there was a actual GoFundMe made. Okay, and this kind of ended up, I guess, trolls ended up trolling off of this initial GoFundMe, but to the owner's point, it never received any money. The goal was for 10,000, and it was in Canadian currency, girl. So for all we know, Tory Lanez created the goddamn account, attempting to make Megan Thee Stallion look bad, baby, and was going to have folk donate in Canadian currency, girl, so he could have some after prison funds, because he's going to be deported, baby, right to the caverns and slums and sewers of Miss Canada. But nonetheless, the owner has debunked this account. It's not real. No money has in fact been raised for this man, and I assume that Jacobs more than likely is going to delete this actual account from the page, and everything else has just been Photoshop screenshots. There's been no money raised or received on behalf of said GoFundMe child. So shout out to the hottest girl, okay? They said, baby, we go low, baby, but we ain't gonna go to that degree of hell, child, because ultimately Tory is already getting karma. He was, being on that apparatus, he was being trolled. Being in prison is some being trolled. And watching his desperation, child, watching his desperate pleas to get out of prison, honey, is the ultimate trolling of all trolling, child. His whole situation is really a trolling. All right, so that's that. Now, let's get into Kelsey and Sean Kelly. Because of my God, today. I don't know where I want to start with first. I guess let's start actually with Kelsey. Let's revisit what she told investigators in her initial interview in that old nasty piece of interrogation room where her attorney and her husband were in fact present. And once again, this is courtesy and of course fair use from Street TV's YouTube page, who has the entire interview on his page. So shout out to Street TV. Let me pull up an old nasty visual for y'all. This is going to be audio only. Bloop. And let's get into Kelsey Harris, child. Here is her testimonial of what took place that infamous night, child. Y'all thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Okay. So we're leaving. We're driving, you know, going down the road. Megan is laughing still. It's like an uncontrollable laugh. And just out of curiosity, you know, I want to know what's funny. So I'm like, what is funny? Like, what is going on? And that's when Tory butts in. And he's like, yeah, Megan, why don't you tell your best friend what's so funny? Why don't you tell her how fake you are? And so I'm confused because this was random. And so I said, what? Like, what are you talking about? And Megan's like, Kelsey, don't listen to him. He's just trying to make you mad. And so I'm like, what are you talking about? You know? And, you know, next thing you know, the arguing, you know, began with Tory and Megan. They're arguing, they're taking jabs at each other. He's calling her out her name. He's calling her, like, I've never heard him speak like this, you know, so.
The stuff he was saying?
I can't honestly recall, like, verbatim. He was definitely calling her, like, bitches and hoes. And so, you know, I stepped in and I said, you know, you're not going to talk to my friend like that, you know, like, I don't care what y'all got going on, but you're not going to talk to her like that in front of me. So he got offended and now.
All right, and I'm going to be honest, girl. You know, I be getting chills when I be listening to Kelsey's rendition of that night because, baby, she was such a badass bitch. Like, baby, I got to give it to Kelsey Harris. Like, you know, I know a lot of y'all don't like her. Y'all feel like, oh, she a snake. She blah, 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 blah. I don't give a fuck, bitch. I respect everything that this woman did on this night, baby, because she was riding till dawn for her bitch. She was riding till dawn, girl. Okay, even after Tory Lanez had exposed the fact that Megan was playing her behind her motherfucking back. All right, she still was riding till motherfucking dawn, girl. So I got a lot of respect for Kelsey, and you know, I really hope at some point in time in the future that Meg and Kelsey could definitely sit down and have a conversation and really hear each other out, because their friendship got lost in the translation of a very traumatic event for them both. I understand why Meg handled things the way she did, because Megan has basically admitted that she's has a avoidant coping style about herself. You know, she will drink, she will party, she will indulge in work, she will pretty much escape her problems. She will find an escape route instead of dealing with things. So sending Kelsey ass packing after this traumatic event, which was equally traumatic for Kelsey. I mean, you know, she was beat the hell to the ground. You know, she took on injury. She had to witness something heinous happen to someone that she loved. And then her whole life was obstructed by this event because she had just packed up her whole life, you know, in Texas and moved to LA to start working full time for Megan. She had subleased her apartment and everything. You know, she was ready to start the next chapter of her career. And all that was completely snatched from her overnight, because once Megan got back home and got out of the hospital, you know, she pretty much, you know, sent Kelsey ass back home, paid for her rent for a year. And I think they might have talked like once or twice when all this was going on. And then that was kind of it. And then things just continued to get bitter between the both of them. So, you know, I hope that Megan at some point is able to look back and really see how this girl really rode for her. And I don't give a fuck what nobody got to say. You absolutely got to put respect on a bitch name who put their life on the line for you. Not a lot of motherfucking people can say that the people in their life You want to believe the people in your life got your back. You want to hope that the people, you know, in your life have your back. You want to hope that your friends are your friends, your relatives are your relatives. But, you know, very, very rare do we get to actually see people in action. Very few do we get to see just how far somebody would really go for us. And Megan was in a situation via the shooting that put her in one of the most extreme circumstances that she could be in. And Kelsey absolutely showed her ass for Megan. She put her body on the line for that woman. And I feel like Kelsey is definitely due some motherfucking due diligence. She's due some honor. She's due some respect. Maybe the friendship can never quite be the same because of just, you know, the fuckery of it all. But at the very least, I absolutely stand by the fact that Megan owes Kelsey a thank you. A fucking thank you. And maybe some old damn reparations. Okay? Like, pay your rent for the rest of her life. You know, you ain't gotta fuck with her. Y'all ain't never gotta eat each other pussies again, girl. You know, y'all ain't never gotta be part-time DEI lesbians, you know, but baby, you know, maybe some continual reparations for sure. And definitely a motherfucking thank you, a trophy, bitch, a certificate, an honor, bitch, honor roll, something, honey. Okay, because that's some powerful, powerful love when someone literally puts themselves in a position to lose their life over protecting you. So, man, respect to Kelsey.
Him arguing. And we're taking, you know, honestly, when I argue, I can say things that are hurtful too. So he was saying mean things, so I was saying mean things back to him. And
do you remember any of the exchange?
I'm about to get to what I do remember. He began to say, you know, I'm from, like, he just started like, I'm from Canada, like basically, I guess insinuating that they're gangsters or something. I don't know. I'm from Canada, my nigga, like, you know, and I'm like, okay, and like, so, you know, now we're just going back and forth. It's like, I'm going back and forth with him, he's going back and forth with Megan. He said, my nigga, I'll shoot you. And so
He said that to you?
He said that to me. So he reached, like he was going to grab something, he reached towards the middle console, but he never pulled anything out.
Now, can you describe the middle console on the car? There's like I assume like some type of flat cover or lid.
Correct.
And then when he reached towards it, you just saw what? His hand moving?
Yeah, it was just a motion that he reached. He never opened it or, you know, so it was just a motion. So I was like, okay, and if you shoot me, then I guess it's my time to go. Like, you know, like, and if you shoot me, just know I have people who will ride behind me, you know, in my support, you know, and he's like, you know.
Okay, so Kelsey, you know, explains that he had already made threats, for one, to shoot at her while they was in the car arguing alone. You know, he was threatening to pop her and was pointing to the armrest or whatever, you know, as if the GUN was in the armrest. Now, Kelsey had jumped in the middle of they shit, girl, because, you know, she didn't appreciate the way that Tory was talking to her bitch. Okay, so she like, you know, what's good, you know, leave my girl alone. So she in there dragging his ass as well. Okay, so, you know, she in the battle. She done into the group chat, girl, like, you ain't gonna be talking to my girl like that, etc. child. So she was swinging and banging on Tory verbally from within the vehicle.
Now, you know, he just talking that still, him and Megan, me and him. So then Megan, I guess we're on Sunset Boulevard at this time. Megan demands for, sorry, it's mine.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Megan demands for Quan to pull the vehicle over. So we pull over and we're actually by the bus stop. Megan jumps out the vehicle, Tory follows behind her, Quan stays in, I stay in. It's just like we're in the middle of a road, like we're just arguing. This is, you know. So Tory and Megan, they sit at the bus stop. They have, I don't know what conversation they had, a conversation if any, but when they got back in the vehicle, it was calm. Tory then began to...
When they got back in the vehicle, do you remember where everyone was sitting?
Yes, sorry. They then got back in the front seat. Tory got back in behind Quan, so behind the driver's seat. So it was calm. Everybody was calm. Tory then began to apologize to me. And he's just like, I'm sorry, Kelsey, you're just a real ass nigga, and I had to tell you. You know, and I'm like, what? Right, and so I'm like, but he's saying it loud. And so Megan can hear this. So that kind of stirred her back up. So now they're arguing back together. At this point, it's uncontrollable. Can't stop it.
And do you remember anything of this?
Now, this is the thing. I believe that Kelsey edited out a major part when she said this, because she skips over the part of, well, what did he reveal to you that he had to end up then apologizing for telling you? She completely skips over that. I want y'all to duly note that, because, you know, later it came out in a live stream of Kelsey that, come to find out, your ass was on to a nigga that I was on to first. Okay? So we know that what Tory told Kelsey at some point in this argument between himself and Megan, that I don't know why the fuck you defended her, because she fucking on me behind your motherfucking back, bitch. Okay? Ain't you supposed to be the one hollering at me? And she ain't even telling you that me and her fucking. All right? So in the interrogation video, Kelsey, you know, she completely skips over that part. She just goes from, we arguing, we fussing, and we fighting. Megan says, pull the motherfucking car over. This, I believe right here, the first time Meg got out the car in her two-piece bikini, girl, to go sit at a bus stop on a damn Coyote Field hilltop, girl, somewhere in the California mountains, bitch. That's how drunk and pissed Megan ass was, girl. She got out damn near butt naked in the middle of the night, in the middle of the road, to go sit at a bus stop, girl. Okay? I believe that's when Kelsey and Megan probably started arguing as well. And Kelsey like, hold on, what the fuck? And there's all this craziness, all this confusion. They got it going on so bad in the car that Megan like, pull this shit over, bitch. Let me the fuck out. Fuck y'all. Okay? So like she said, her and Jay Quan, I'm gonna call him Quan, stay in the car. Tory go have a pep talk with Meg. Everything appears to be okay. They get back in the car. Everything good for a little minute. And now here it is. Tory start trolling again. And now he being real loud saying, look, I ain't want to tell you that, But keep in mind how she doesn't tell that to the investigators. She don't tell that. She just skips over it. And the investigators don't really press on it for some reason. Maybe because they don't know that there's a major empty space, you know. Maybe they're thinking like, okay, it's supposed to not really make sense because everybody's drunk. These people just arguing. So they just letting her kind of talk. But she kind of skips over that middle part. It goes from them arguing real bad to the point that Megan gets out. And then when Tory get back in the car, they pull off. Tory is apologizing. But nobody ever asks her like, why? Why is he apologizing? What is he apologizing for? She just kind of trying to find a way to not have to get into all of that. Okay? Now, we know also from the IG Live she did later on, or she either did the IG Live later, she either did that interview. No, I don't know when she did her IG Live. I don't know whether her IG Live came before the interview or afterwards, but in either instance, in the IG Live, I'm going to assume the reason why Kelsey has kind of shied away from admitting that her and Meg at least were being verbally confrontational is because neither Meg nor Kelsey want to be seen as them girls who was fighting over a nigga, because what Kelsey said later on in her IG Live is like, you know, me and you laugh at other bitches who fall out over niggas and who fight over niggas. You know, we, you know, clown these type of girls. So for us to end up in that situation was really embarrassing. So I think Kelsey was still trying to like maintain that. She still felt embarrassed to even have argued with Megan and that they even, you know, had a moment over this. But what I will say is I don't personally believe that Kelsey was actually upset over Megan fucking on Tory in and of itself. I think she was upset that she didn't know. I think she was upset that Megan was pimping her out and had her sacrificing her pussy, fucking on this ugly nigga, only to find out that Meg was already taking one for the team. So she had sacrificed her pussy for nothing. She should have kept her sweet puss to herself, honey. You know, so I think she felt like Meg violated girl code. We best friends, we sisters, we run down on niggas together. You the one who put me on to Tory Lanez at the Rock Nation brunch. You know, you was like, get on that, keep him close. You know, so I'm doing the groundwork, honey. I'm a ground troop, taking one for the team. What was the point, you know, of me doing what I was doing if you was already doing the ultimate in the situation? And why you couldn't tell me? Because now the shit is coming off weird. It's coming off snakish. And me and you got a very transparent, vulnerable, you know, we be checking each other titties for cancer lumps and shit. So, you know, if my tampon get lodged too far up in me, girl, and I need an extra hand, girl, you know, your hand is that hand. So why the fuck you ain't communicating with me about, you know, this dumb ass shit over a nigga that don't belong to either one of us? It's just coming off real weird. I also want to say this. Remember, all this kind of got started at Kylie Jenner's pool party. Remember, Kylie Jenner was on her petty shit because she had initially invited Meg because, of course, Kelsey is Meg's personal assistant. Kelsey also ended up at the pool party. And then Kylie requested Tory to pull up because Kylie was trying to antagonize her baby daddy, Travis Scott, who had already had an ongoing beef with Tory Lanez. So Kylie Jenner was on her Karen shit, girl. She was on her Emmett Till shit, bitch. Okay? She was trying to antagonize her baby daddy because she knew that she was going to leak the pool party to the blogs and that, you know, the headlines was going to be Meg and Tory Lanez, you know, have pool party day with Kylie, and she was hoping I was going to ruffle the feathers with her baby daddy, Travis, girl. Okay, who wouldn't pay her ass no type of motherfucking attention. So when they got there, everything was all right, but Tory Lanez was doing the motherfucking most. Like, he was really trying to get up in Miss Kylie. Now, I don't know whether that was the result of Tory just being a man hoe and being a man whore, or rather, he also was on his optic. He was on his op playing games too, because he like, I know this is my op baby mama. I need to put that dick off in his ass, off in her ass, because that's gonna be the ultimate fuck you to Travis. So he was really on Kylie ass and really trying to land in that mayonnaise puss, okay? Because he needed that one up on his enemy. So both Kylie and Tory had ulterior motives. However, Kylie had no real interest in laying down with Tory Lanez. She just wanted the optics, girl. She just wanted a few pictures. She just wanted the shit to give the headline. She wasn't trying to fuck off on that nigga, but Tory was real serious. So the more he drank at the pool party, the more delusional and persistent he got, to the point that they ultimately all had to end up getting kicked the fuck out of the pool party. I feel like what Meg was mad about, because, you know, a lot of people believe that Meg was jealous of, you know, him trying to get at Kylie. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that Megan really fucking cared anymore about Tory than Kelsey did, or that hell even Kylie did. Like, he was just an opportunity and a lick for all of them. And isn't that very interesting that all these ladies really kind of can be argued to have had a ulterior motive when it came to Tory? Meg wants Kelsey to keep Tory close because, you know, at that time he was a hot boy. He had the summer on lock. He was a big streamer, you know, so, you know, she was making sure to get in on all of that, playing coy, playing nice with him. And then in the midst of that, they end up kind of developing a emotional intimacy because both of them had lost their parents, that then turned into some sexual intimacies a time or 2 or 14. All right. And then you get Kylie, who also has a ulterior motive because he's her man, her baby daddy's op. So that's fascinating. But I think what Megan was actually upset about was being embarrassed. I think she felt embarrassed because Tory was just being a straight nigga, you know, and Megan was like, girl, I'm kind of just getting in the game. I'm black. And for me to be at a Kim Kardashian exclusive, girl, for me to be at a Kardashian Jenner exclusive is a big deal. You come up in this bitch drunk, trying to fuck up on this girl, just being a fucking nuisance. I think Megan was very, very aggravated by Tory's conduct, not her actually giving a fuck about him coming on to Kylie. He was just doing the motherfucking most and making an ass out of himself. And when Kelsey, Quan, and Kelsey and Megan first pulled off and left, remember, they left Tory Lanez there because he was like, I ain't ready to go, bitch. I'm getting this pussy. Y'all go ahead and go, Quan. Take them home. Come back and get me. All I need is 5 minutes. Maybe 2.5 at the most. But, baby, as Quan was taking Meg and Kelsey back to the house, baby, Megan got to thinking about that shit like, oh, bitch, hell no, because he ain't about to fuck around and Players Club, Miss Kylie girl, what he not about to do, girl. What's the man name from Players Club? The one who baby, he not about to Ebony. He ain't about to Ebony. Kylie, bitch, I ain't about to have that blood on my hands, baby. No, ma'am, honey, okay? He is not about to Ebony Kylie Jenner. So, her thinking about her career and how she don't want him fucking up, you know, her industry relationships, you know, she don't want them badass optics, girl. She don't need Junior, you know, doing the most, girl, okay? So, she turns back around, bitch, and she's like, no, bitch, we're pulling that nigga up out of this, girl. I left my shoe, Quan. I left my Chinese slipper. Go back, girl. The Chinese slipper, bitch, was Tory Lanez ass. Baby, so they pull an old nasty donut, girl, old nasty reverse Uno, and then Kylie absolutely understands the assignment, making a Stallion his own, girl, and like, here you go, girl. All y'all ass, get out. Take him with you, baby. And so Megan clocks the T because Megan intuitively already knew that he was doing the motherfucking most and that he really wasn't wanted there, especially after the pool party done rap, girl. So Megan is now in the car cackling to herself because she's laughing at understanding what the fuck is going on. And she's just having this key moment to herself, girl. And because Tory knows that he was on assignment with Kylie and he didn't land that shit, he pissed the fuck off because he know what Meg is laughing at. He know what she just in the front seat cackling and chuckling at, girl. And she just having a fucking field day and he getting both pissed off and both pissed off and both fucking pissed off as they driving like, what the fuck you laughing at, bitch? Okay, and that's when the whole argument just starts to do what it does. So that whole night prior to the shooting, girl, if the shooting would have never happened, that whole night would have been a whole kiki. It's unfortunate that it got so dark because Megan was shot, Kelsey was beat up. Had those events not been able to happen, this would have been a very comical story time for either one of them to sit down and talk to us about, girl, because the gags of the gags were playing out that night from head to toe. All right, but let's get back to Kelsey, child.
At this point, they're arguing about each other's artistry as a career as an artist. She's telling him like you're only this and that because you're on a remix with Jack Harlow, and he's telling her things about her career as an artist, which I can't remember what he was telling her, but they just started hitting each other with their career as an artist. So now we're at the final, you know, the next stop where the incident occurs. And this time Tory demands Quan to let us out. He's like, let these hoes out, let these bitches out the car. This is my car. And so we're like, okay. Like, okay, we'll get out. So he pulled the car over and
so this is the second time now that they getting out because, baby, they back to swinging and banging, girl. And I'm hollering because at this point, Tory and Megan are dragging each other over who's the bigger star, girl. And they are dragging each other streams. They dragging each other 360 deals, girl. And obviously, Megan is getting the best of the gag and roast because Tory at this point, girl, wants Quan to pull over and let these heifers out right now. I don't give a damn if they get eaten by mountain lions, bitch. Let them out in their bikinis, pop this trunk, give them their suitcases, girl. We're going to leave them right here. They can figure it out.
Everything here transpires. Megan jumps out of her seat, which is the front seat. I open up my door, which I'm behind Megan. And when you're getting out of a vehicle, you're not really just like looking at any direction. You're just kind of getting out the vehicle, you know? Especially, we didn't expect anything to happen next, so we're just getting out the vehicle. I get out of my side, and no sooner do you know, you start hearing gunshots going off. I look up about it was 5 gunshots. I look up maybe at the second or third gunshot. That's when I'm looking up. And you see Tory. He's now in the front seat. I guess he must have jumped over. It was very smooth transition because we didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. And he's leaning over.
Okay, so they paying bills and we paying them too, y'all. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, 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 girl. So, you know, I'm here to fill in all the missing parts, girl, because people don't went on to put stuff in diss tracks. People don't went on to speak, you know, in IG lives. And so now, looking back in retrospect, there's a lot of shit I can put together, honey. You know, it all comes together for me. Some of y'all may still be confused, okay? But I'm not, baby. I'm not.
The door is open, and he's leaning over, like, the door window.
Which door? Is it the rear?
Right, the front right. So where Megan was sitting.
Okay, so his door's open. In the
My
driver's side.
My door's open in the back, and the front door is open to where Megan got out. The front right passenger.
Both doors on the passenger side
are open, correct. So.
And is he shooting through the window or over the top of the door?
No, he's shooting over the top of the door. So
over the top of the door would be the rear passenger door?
The right front passenger. So again, as I said, he must have jumped, or I don't know how he did it because it was very small. Very smooth.
Okay, so at this point, they have gotten out. Quan has pulled over. Kelsey has gotten out of the car, but she's still practically kind of just like standing right outside of the back passenger because she's sitting behind Megan, who's sitting front right passenger. So she's still behind her own door. So her door is open at this point, and Meg's door, the front right passenger, is also open. I guess she is just kind of standing there, or she's looking down, or she's adjusting her outfit, or she's maybe even facing, at this point, the back of the vehicle because their stuff is in the back of the SUV. So she's probably expecting Quan to pop the trunk. So she's probably at this point turned with her back to Tory and her back to Meg. Megan, obviously, based upon the way things is described, Megan got out of the front right passenger and she's walking kind of like in front of the vehicle. She's walking forward. In between them getting out of the car, Tory done made it from the back left passenger and he done hopped into Megan's seat. Now he is, because this is an SUV, and you know, Tory is short too. So he's like, I guess, standing on the little SUV ramp that's right outside of the car doors, and he's shooting over the open door. So he's shooting over it.
And he was leaning over the front passenger door, and you know he was shooting the gun.
Where were you standing at this point?
At this point, I'm standing kind of like my body's still like to the side behind the door, the rear passenger door. So I would say my left side was the rear passenger, and my right side was kind of like this. Like this is the door, and
Are you still partially in the car at this point?
no, I'm out of the vehicle. I'm out of the vehicle. I'm just not around my door yet.
Yeah.
So.
Do you know where's Megan?
So I was about to speak on Megan. So she was walking away when this happened, but by the third, fourth shot, and by the time I look up, she's facing towards us. And I would describe it like a deer in headlights. I'm short. I'm 4'11". The vehicle's kind of a little raised up higher than me, so I can't really see. I can only see from her chest up. That's all I can see. But the way Tory was angling the gun is kind of like, it wasn't like straight. It was like, down.
It was down in her direction?
Definitely in her direction. Definitely in her direction. So at that point, we kind of were in shock,
Did you hear him say anything as he was shooting?
He did not say anything.
Now remember, Meg recalls Tory saying dance, bitch, dance. Kelsey doesn't recall hearing dance, bitch, dance or anything. Mind you, Sean Kelly also heard Tory Lanez screaming, but doesn't recall exactly what he was screaming about. I think dance, bitch, dance actually happened after the third shot. So here is audio captured from a neighbor's ring door where you can hear the sequence of the ootings. Check out this courtesy, once again, of Street TV.
You're listening to Street TV.
Okay?
You're listening to Street TV.
So you hear 5 gunshots, but there's a pause in between the third shot. Now, mind you, Sean Kelly, hold on, not Sean Kelly. What I was going to say. Yeah, Sean Kelly said, Tory's on witness that Tory was shooting everywhere. I think what happened initially is, before I say that, let me say this. It's clear to me that if Tory wanted to kill Megan, that's exactly what he would have did. It's my belief, and it seems to be Meg's belief as well, that Tory was not per se trying to kill her, or maybe even trying to actually injure her. Okay? So when Sean Kelly said Tory was shooting everywhere, what that tells me is that Tory more than likely was just, had the gun initially probably pointed in the sky, upward, and then at some point he got petty and said, okay, I'm gonna shoot at this bitch feet to get her ass back in this car because she motherfucking tripping. Now, mind you, he drunk, so this is not rationally thought out, right? Because had the gun been pointed, at a particular angle, at a particular degree, it could have costed Megan her life. Had the bullets actually hit her feet directly, because remember, she was impacted by the ricochet. So when the bullet hit the concrete and exploded, the residual, got lodged into her heels and the sides of her feet. So I'm not saying this was a great idea, but in his mind, being a typical nigga, we all have lived in the hood. We know that niggas be shooting off rounds randomly, playing with gunfire, being childish and dumb and irresponsible. So here it is. He's just shooting a gun everywhere. The everywhere part is very key for me because it implies that Megan was not per se the target. That's why he was just kind of shooting all around. Kelsey says when she finally turned around to see what the fuck was going on because he was hanging over the front right passenger, the angle at this point, the gun was pointed lower to the ground. She didn't even see the initial 3 shots. She didn't turn around until like the last 3 shots. And the gun was angled down. At this point, I believe that's when Tory said, I'm going to shoot at this bitch feet. And I think this happened after the 3rd round. Because look at, why else would he pause? He obviously paused to say something. Something he wanted her to hear. Something he chose not to say while he was actively shooting because the sound of the gun going off would have blotted out what he wanted to say. Right after that 3rd round is when he said, dance, bitch, dance. Listen to me reenact it. Dance, bitch, dance. It fits right in. Dance, bitch, dance. Listen to it again. Dance, bitch, dance. I believe right after that 3rd shot is when he said, dance, bitch, dance, and then proceeded to, dislodge 2 more out of the chambers. I believe the reason why Kelsey didn't hear dance, bitch, dance is because more than likely she was probably in shock. She probably at this point was frozen in time completely. Her brain completely glitched up because she like, what the fuck is going on? Like she said, when she turned around, Meg was now facing them like a deer in headlights. So Meg was looking at Tory head on. She could see his mouth moving. She could hear what was being said because she was completely present in the moment as this was all happening around her. Let's get back to the testimony.
There's no words at that point,
What was Quan doing? Did he tell?
I think everybody was in shock.
Okay, so he wasn't.
He wasn't part of it. Right here at this.
People are like, oh, how could she perform? She was driving a boat because because a whole bullet wasn't in her actual foot. She had shrapnel from the bullet exploding. Those shards, those little pieces of metal is what hit her. So yes, had she been hit with a full-on bullet, yeah, she would not have been able to perform WAP and perform SNL and all of that. She was hit by the residual. She was hit by the ricochet. When he shot at the ground, the bullets were exploding. All of that shit ricocheted into 50 trillion different directions. And of course, because he was shooting at her feet, that ricochet was hitting the sides and the backs of the heels of her actual foot. So at best, she had some shallow injuries. That's why she didn't lose any tendons. That's why she still had mobility. Hell, Kelsey is even going to describe the fact that at one point in time, Megan actually had limped over to the vehicle. So she had very much so mobility. We saw her having mobility through the chopper footage when the cops made her get out of the back of the SUV and made her walk backwards with her hands up, and we could see her walking backwards in a trail of her own blood. So she wasn't hit by entire bullets that went directly into her feet. If you understand that, then you can understand why she was able to make a pretty swift recovery and still had a lot of her mobility despite the shallows of her injury.
I hear he wasn't part of this. What I'm about to get into next, I can't tell you guys where Tory pulled the gun from. Like I said, the motion when he first threatened me was middle console, but I don't know if that's where the gun.
Shout out to my baby mother Alexa for the old dancing piece of child support check for you are working on period. Thank you, baby mother. You guys know all donation information is in the description box below. $ Consciouztv, Cash App, and or PayPal.me/Consciouztv. Conscious spelled with the Z on the very end. Please thumbs up as you guys are coming in and coming up and all of that good jazz. It's something else I wanted to say. It don't slip my mind. So, okay. So Kelsey says she don't know where the GUN came from. She don't know if it was sitting in the middle console or the armrest of the SUV where Tory had been pointing to earlier on in their argument, or rather, hell, it was under a seat. Maybe the GUN might have been under Daquan's or Jaquan's seat. Maybe it was actually under Meg's seat, etc. Because this is, I think, where they actually found the GUN once they pulled Tory over or pulled them over. The GUN, I believe, was found underneath his seat. So this might have been where the GUN had been the whole time, or maybe it was in the middle armrest. I don't know.
But you had said he referenced like shooting y'all earlier while you're in the car, right?
He threatened to shoot me.
As if he had a gun
Correct.
in his control somewhere.
Correct.
Okay.
And so after the shots rang, it was, like I said, 5 shots. We kind of froze. And by the time I get back into, like, you know, I snapped, Megan had either crawled or walked or limped over to, she's in a driveway. She's in a driveway on the, like, the side of the driver's side. She's in a driveway. Tory sits down.
In the front passenger seat?
In the front passenger seat.
Okay.
He's sitting. I guess just kind of shocked also. So I run over to her. I immediately...
So now Meg is curled up in a ball in a driveway. Tory now is sitting in the front right passenger, and Kelsey has rushed over to Meg's aid.
And to her, you know, she's the forefront of my thoughts.
Now, mind you, this part of the story is very consistent with Sean Kelly's testimony too, because he said that after Tory was shooting at Meg, she collapsed, and that Meg had crawled her way into his neighbor's driveway and curled up into a fetal position.
My job as a friend in general is just like naturally to protect my friend and protect. So now I'm in defense mode on the behalf of Megan. I ran to her. She's on the floor. I never looked at her feet. I never really just got to look at her. I just know when I ran to her and she grabbed me, she had blood. So in my head, she had got shot because shots just went off and she's bleeding. That's what I think. So I see Tory coming around the vehicle. It's dark, lights are flat, hitting him. It's almost like a scary scene. So again, I'm in defense mode. I see him coming around the vehicle, and in my head, I'm thinking he's about to come over here and attack us.
Do you see whether or not when he's coming around the vehicle, if he still has the gun?
I don't believe he had the gun.
Okay, so they asked her, now that he gets out of the car, you're now at Megan's aid. She's now in defense mode. She's ready to defend her life and to defend Megan's, especially after he now has demonstrated himself to be the aggressor. But when they asked her, like, at this point, does he have the GUN? She doesn't really know. She says, I don't think he had the GUN. But, you know, he could have very well still had the GUN at this point. She's only going off of assumption. She's not sure if at this point he had the GUN when he approached them.
So like I said, I just thought he was coming over to attack us. So I stepped in between where he was coming to where Megan was. And at that point, that's when the assault between me and him.
Whoa! This girl put her body in front of Meg's. She is watching the person who could be coming over to potentially take her life and take Meg's life. And she gets up, steps in front of Meg, who's in the driveway, bloody, curled up, and Kelsey is ready to do whatever the fuck is going to need to be done. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
And he assaulted me. And Quan then comes out, he just comes and he picks me up like a little doll. And he's like, Kelsey, they do this all the time. And I said, huh? She's bleeding. She's been shot. I don't know if y'all know she's shot. By that time, he's already to where Megan's at. So, I don't know what goes on in that driveway.
Who comes towards Megan? Is that Quan or Tory?
So initially Tory comes.
Yeah.
So that's where I stepped in, and we had an altercation. He physically assaulted me. And then Quan.
Okay, so she was physically they had engaged in a tumbling match. At this point, I'm going to show you guys the aftermath, because they had two different physical altercations. So thank you, Andrew, for sending this to my DMs yesterday. I'm going to show, and these were also exhibits during the trial of Kelsey's injuries. Okay, because they had this initial altercation, and then they had another altercation after this altercation. And this was Kelsey's injuries collectively from that night. As you guys see here, she has bruising all up and down her legs, etc. Shout out to Neek at Night. All right, she had a bruising and scrapes and scratches all up and down her legs. Obviously, she was being dragged, etc. He had grabbed her by the hair in their second altercation, so he ripped out her hair at that point. So, yep. Now let's get back to what happens once Daquan, the driver, comes over. He comes and gets Kelsey and says, hey, they do this all the time. They fight like brothers and sisters and cats and damn dogs. He's trying to calm Kelsey. He done separated Kelsey, who has now already had a physical altercation with Tory. And now Kelsey is in the car where Daquan has placed her. And Tory is at the driveway speaking to Meg at this point. Now, Meg says to investigators that at this point, Tory was fighting for his life. He was bargaining for his life. You know, he was saying, look, you know, I'll pay you $1 million. Just don't tell. I'm on probation. You know, he was, you know, throwing all this stuff out at Meg. And Meg is just like, motherfucker, I've been shot. Like, help me. You know, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, she's just focused on her well-being at this fucking point while, you know, he's trying to coerce her into ensuring that she wasn't going to, like, rat him out and, you know, was, once again, you know, trying to bargain and put a price tag on her silence.
And separated him from
What
me.
exactly did he do when he was assaulting you?
I mean, everything, my adrenaline was so high. I don't know if he was hitting me with a closed fist or slapping me. It was just it was a physical altercation.
Were you wearing a necklace that night?
I was, and I'm gonna go to that part too. So
they asked her about her press-on nails, and they asked her if she was wearing a necklace, because when investigators and cops got to the scene to collect the evidence, they found all of the shell casings from the gun, which is crazy to me that there was ever like a glass narrative when they literally retrieved the shell casings from the shooting. Like, this was all a part of the cleanup in the aftermath, you know. And with this glass narrative, they never tell us where glass actually came from. It didn't come from any of the windows being broken, because the car, you know, the back window was intact, the side windows were intact. Where did this glass come from? But they actually retrieve shell casings. We know a shooting happened because it also was captured on the neighbor's ring door footage, etc., which I played for you guys. So Tory Lanez was literally trolling Megan from the jump about this glass shit. He knew damn well there was a GUN. the gun was still hot to touch when they pulled Tory Lanez and them over. They retrieved the gun. They found shell casings from the bullets. There is recorded audio of a gun, and yet still dumbass Tory Lanez fans and Tory Lanez cock blowers and Tory Lanez deriders still erroneously and intentionally push this fake ass glass narrative, despite the literal objective reality of it all.
Now Tory's in the driveway with Megan. Quan is holding me. Like I said, he's big. He just picked me up and said, "They do this all the time, Kelsey." And I said, "Huh? No, like she's bleeding. She's been shot, to my knowledge." And so I'm still in defense mode. I'm still in, like, we gotta protect her. So,
no, I know how the glass narrative got started. But when Megan cleared it up, that should have cleared it up for everybody else, because while she also told glass to the responding officers and to the doctors initially, she also came back and said, "I was actually shot." At that point, everybody should have changed their motherfucking tune, since they were already down her fucking throat and taking her word verbatim. So don't pick and choose when her word is true and not true. They chose to believe her when she told them it was glass. She said the reason why she told them it was glass. It was just following the George Floyd situation. All this shit was going on with Black Lives Matter and police running down on black people. Here it is. They're in a white suburban neighborhood. They out there being niggas. It's a hot gun in the car. She done been shot. She's scared to tell the police in the moment that it's bullets, that a gun was used, because she don't know if these cops are going to have an irrational response to that and escalate the situation and start doing the most, and then somebody ass here ends up losing their motherfucking life, because she already know Tory Lanez is unhinged as hell. She already know Kelsey ass is unnerved. She losing her mind. She freaking out. So what she don't need is, escalating the situation, not being able to really trust police. So she keeps that to herself when they ask her, "Why are you bleeding? Where's the blood coming from?" "I stepped in glass." Cool. Completely understand why people believe that initially. Once she said, "Bitch, I ain't stepped on glass, bitch, I was shot, bitch," every bitch then should have been now on code. But what people did was completely forfeit that and continue to perpetuate the glass, as if the lady ain't cleared that up, and then that was further corroborated during trial, because now we know an actual gun was used. We hear it. I just played the audio of the 5 rounds that were attested to by Kelsey, that was attested to by Sean Kelly, that was caught on third-party audio. We know that they retrieved a gun hot to touch upon pulling them over. We know that Tory Lanez took ownership of the gun found at his feet. We know that shrapnel and foreign metallic objects, according to the medical physicians that treated her wounds and the x-rays. And we know that the police retrieved not only the GUN in question, but they also retrieved all of the shell casings found all over the goddamn street. So now we know there was a GUN on period, on point blank. And idiots still, in sucking on Tory Lanez's dick, continue to pick and choose which part of this situation that fitted their narrative, which of course was to be in support of Tory. So if you believe they're about glass, why the fuck you ain't believe they're about being shot? When she said, "Yeah, I told them glass," and y'all didn't catch me in a lie, bitch. I telling y'all I lied. It ain't like y'all ain't catching me in nothing. Y'all wouldn't even know what the fuck going on if I wasn't here talking about my own experience. I'm the one clocking my T, clock it. I'm the one telling you what's up. You ain't catch me in a lie. I'm telling you that I lied and why I lied, and I'm completely 100% with her on why she lied. She had every reason to do what she did, and for all we know, she saved everybody's life that night, because we don't know in the alternative what the fuck would have played out had she told them she'd been shot and there was an active shooter in the SUV. We have no idea what that would have looked like, because Megan alley-ooped that potential final destination sequence by saying, no, this was glass. Everybody in the country at this point was, especially black folk, was unnerved. None of us were fucking with the police, baby. We didn't even want to call the police if we needed the damn police, because that's how rough it was at that point in time. And Megan, you know, she's still a nigga in America. Like Kanye West said, baby, you can be a nigga in a Benz, but you still just a nigga in a Benz.
I look up and I see the vehicle. It's in the middle of the road and it's on. The door is open. So my initial reaction is to cause a distraction. And I jumped into the vehicle and I threw it in jerk. And it worked.
What does that mean?
I just like jerked it, made it move.
Okay.
Made it like move just to get him away from Megan. Because in my head, I'm thinking he's over here gonna just attack.
So you got in the driver's seat of the car and moved it.
And I jerked. I made it jerk.
Okay.
I didn't even move it. Didn't even drive. I just made it jerk.
Okay.
And so when I did that, it did exactly what I needed it to get Tory away from Megan.
Wow. So here it is. Daquan done separated Kelsey. She's now in the front passenger, and she's still finding any way she can to distract Tory motherfucking Lanez, because she don't need him doing anything to fucking Meg, even though she just found out this information that Meg been fucking on Tory the whole nine. And even though she's now personally safe, at this point, Kelsey could have been a complete narcissist. At this point that she's now been separated from this event, she's in the car safely. She actually could have jumped over in the driver's seat, bitch, and just sped off and left everybody ass there. She could have just completely just been in self-preservation mode, baby, and let Meg and Tory work out the rest of that thing they got going on at the driveway. But instead, hell no. She's still going fucking hard. Still going hard. This is LOVE in action. This is motherfucking love in action. Even though she's in a position right now to vote for herself, hell, she done, I'm safe. Ain't my problem no more. Hell, I'm out of danger for right now. But nope. She's still trying to get that nigga up off her homegirl. So now she pulling on the fucking brakes and shit, calling the fucking car to jerk and just cause a noise and commotion. And it works. But this is when her and Tory are about to fight for the second time around, when he got to come over and address her ass about everything she's doing in that vehicle to get him up off a homegirl.
And so he either, I don't know how he got to the vehicle. I don't know if he ran or walked, but he got to me really quick. And that's when he started pulling me by my hair. He was pulling me by my hair really hard. And again, I wasn't afraid for my life when the incident was going on with Megan. I was in defense mode. But then I became afraid for my life when he started like pulling my hair and my neck, because it was really, really hard. That's when the necklace.
When you said you pulled on your neck, what do you mean?
You know, like he was like almost like, I didn't lose my breath, so I wouldn't say choking, but he was pulling my neck and my hair. And then so here comes Quan again. Quan he's in between us, but Tory has a good grip. He's not letting go. So it's kind of like tug of war at this point with my head and body, and I'm scared. And I kind of dumb myself down just to.
Yes, Meg did pay her rent, and Kelsey is the one who said that Meg paid her rent. Meg paid her rent for a year after she packed her up. She paid her rent because Kelsey had subleased her apartment and tied up her her life in Texas to go permanently be on the road and move out to LA to be with Megan for the next leg of her career. But because of the events that happened and Meg being too traumatized and in shock to deal with anybody who was connected to that situation, whether they were pro for her or against her, she needed to cut everybody off and just tried to forget all of that. She sent Kelsey ass back packing, but she called Kelsey, had a conversation with Kelsey, and she paid her rent for a year.
Get him to let me go, and I said, Tory, what are we doing? What are we doing? And when I said that, he released. He let go. And so now Megan is standing. We're all standing at the front.
You are absolutely correct. Quan didn't. I wouldn't even say, Kay, that he protected Kelsey, because to be honest, what he was really doing was protecting Tory. He wasn't even protecting Kelsey, because to your point, how did he quote unquote protect Kelsey but didn't do anything to protect Meg? It's because he wasn't even protecting Kelsey. He was creating room for Tory to run the show and to control what was going on. So he was removing everything that was getting in the way of however Tory wanted to handle things. And remember what she said that Quan told her. Just fall back. They do this all the time. Everything will be all right. So Quan seemed to be under the impression that, okay, yes, this extreme shit just happened. Meg got injured. But, you know, they regularly fight. They got one of them sweet Sour Patch ass relationships. Like, the highs are real high and the lows are real lows. Let them work it out. You get your ass in the car. It'll be fine.
Driver door.
Did you see how Megan got to the front driver door?
I can't tell. No, she was like hop, walk. I can't tell you, but she was there. She was standing at the front driver door, and you know, Quan. They're just like, get in the car, you know.
So now at this point, you know, Meg is standing, and Meg is she's on the left side of the vehicle at the front left passenger, and Kelsey, because Kelsey been battling it out physically for the second time with Tory, she doesn't see the transition of how Meg got from the driveway. Now she's standing up, you know, next to the front driver's door. More than likely what had happened was while Tory and Kelsey were scrapping, Quan started to hear police sirens. So now he probably has gotten out to go help Meg get up off the ground. And Kelsey ended up neutralizing the fight she was in with Tory, who had her by the hair at this point, by saying, you know, what we doing? What are we doing, Tory? She said that's when he lets her go. So I'm going to assume while Kelsey and Tory was having this mutual combat for the second time around, Quan was probably at Meg's side and helping her to get up and bringing her toward the car, because now them white folk don't call it the goddamn popo.
We didn't like have a pushback about getting in the car because we're in the middle of nowhere. At this point, we don't know what to do. We honestly didn't even think about calling 911 at this moment or anything. It was all a blur.
Now, did you have on long nails that night?
I did. My nails were broken off.
That was during your
with
fight
the
with Tory?
altercation with Tory, correct. So now we get in the vehicle. Quan gets back in the driver's side. Tory gets in the, now replaces Megan's seat. So he's in the front passenger. Megan gets in where I was sitting, which is now behind Tory. And now I'm behind Quan.
How's Megan looking at this point? Is she crying? Is she upset? Is she scared? Anything? Can you tell?
Megan was, I was great. I was tripping. I was having panic attacks. Megan honestly was very calm. And that's what made me think that they had a conversation in the driveway where she, I don't know, that's my assumption, but she wasn't in distraught. I was in distraught with her, you know, and And sorry, that is upsets me.
It's okay.
No, it's okay.
You know, I can get tissue or if you need a break, just let me know, okay? Let's see.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
It don't sound like a DV. This is an entire domestic violence dispute. And it's the worst kind. A man has shot a woman and then has beat up another woman who's trying to protect the woman who is now injured. This is a total domestic violence situation. This is a classic, by the books, textbook, domestic violence situation across the board. No questions asked. That's why his ass is in prison. This is complete and utter DV. So now they're in the car. Meg is pretty stoic, more than likely in shock. She is now sitting behind Tory, who is in the front seat. Quan is driving. Kelsey is sitting behind Tory. I mean, sitting behind Quan. So Kelsey is obviously upset, reliving all of this, rehatching all of this. Kelsey was a badass bitch. Kelsey was a badass bitch. We all need a friend like Kelsey. Kelsey is older, thank you. She's also older. I'm not going to say she's older, I'm sorry. Because I can't say that Megan did anything to her. Because Meg was also caught up in her own trauma from this event. But she's definitely owed a thank you. For sure. Like, this was a mutually traumatic situation. Both of them were in a death-defying, life-altering situation. Both of them were assaulted by the same perpetrator. And the crazy part about it is, right, is that what happened to Kelsey is Tory has not been held accountable for what he's done to Kelsey. He's been held accountable for what he's done to Megan. So what happened to Kelsey is still pretty much has ultimately really gone unspoken for. I'm going to say this too. Here's the thing about the whole, like, she lied to Kelsey about fucking on Tory. The only reason I don't feel like Meg owes Kelsey an apology per se, while also completely justifying Kelsey's feelings, is that Tory was not either one of their man officially. So technically, there was nothing to apologize to Kelsey for. If I was Kelsey, I would have felt the same way. What I would have wanted from Megan would have not been an apology per se. I just would have wanted it to be a teachable moment. So I would have went to Megan and been like, help me to explain your psychology just so that we're on the same page. Because, I was thinking we tell each other everything. I mean, the reality is you don't got to tell me everything. The reality is you didn't have to tell me you were fucking on him, because the agreement was never that you wasn't going to fuck on him. He was just a nigga that you told me to get up on and to stay close to. So really the whole situation was very open for Megan to do whatever she wanted to do, which is why she more than likely didn't per se say anything to Kelsey about Tory. I think from Megan's perspective, her fucking him was never supposed to happen to begin with. I think the fucking was circumstantial, because when she did go to recount, like, them being intimate, it was always when she was grieving, she was sad, they were bonding over their parents, she was drunk. And in this, because Tory is a predatory ass nigga, And these aren't the only women he's abused. His ex, his baby mama, also has made accusations of, you know, him abusing her as well. So she wasn't shocked when she heard about the shit happening to Kelsey and to Megan. Tory is a predator. So, of course, him even using like, oh, we both lost our parents from a predator perspective, he knew to capitalize off of that. He knew to kind of like sink his teeth in to that to kind of deepen their bond. And when she needed somebody who could relate and she needed kind of that shoulder, it was in those moments that intimacy took place. So I think from Meg's perspective, because he wasn't a nigga that she was really trying to be with, he was, you know, an industry peer, and they had a friendship that centered around their shared trauma. Sex was happening kind of like, I'm not going to say accidentally, but it was happening like circumstantially. And I feel like that's why Meg didn't feel like she wanted to own up to it, because it's like, bitch, like, I don't even be planning to fuck this nigga when we have fuck. Like, girl, I'm drunk half the time. Like, we won't even, when we have fuck, it was not even a planned fuck. So I think Meg was like trying to be very compartmentalized about it. She was like, because I don't see this as a nigga that I'm going to be with, and he damn sure ain't your nigga either, bitch. Remember that. I'm the one that told you to superficially keep his ass around. You ain't supposed to be his main bitch either. You just supposed to be, you know, being sweet on this nigga, even if it means letting him taste that puss, so that we can just continue to have access to his ass, and I can use his ass, you know, industry-wise, etc. So I think with all that, Meg was just like, girl, it ain't nothing really to see here. But I equally understand why Kelsey felt the way, because they were too close for her not to know that, considering that both of them had an agenda when it came to Tory, and she was only really dealing with Tory because of what Meg had told her. So I understand on a friendship level, on a personal level, her feeling betrayed, and it kind of weirded her out, and her not really understanding, you know, why you didn't tell me. But if I was Kelsey, I wouldn't have been looking for an apology. I would have totally been able to receive what I just said from Meg's perspective back to me if I was Kelsey. Like, if I would have confronted that bitch and been like, what's up with that? And she would have been like, this what it is. You know, I don't like him. You know, I don't want to be with him. And you know, you ain't trying to be with him. Yes, we have had sex. I ain't mentioned it to you, girl, because the times we did have sex, it wasn't even planned. Like, you know, me and him just fucking bonded over some emotional shit or whatever. I'm fucking drunk and we just end up fucking. But you know, I don't see it for him. You know, this ain't gonna be a nigga I'm gonna be claiming, etc., girl. And I honestly kind of felt embarrassed because he ain't even really my motherfucking type, bitch. He became my type emotionally, more so than even physically. And I wasn't even expecting the emotional bond. You know, I would have been able to receive that, especially because he ain't my nigga either. So it's like, you don't need to apologize to me. I just would have wanted an understanding in place of an apology. There's really nothing to apologize for. You know, once she would have told me that, I would have been like, all right, I get that. I'm cool with that. Ain't neither one of us even got that type of equity in this nigga to begin with. For nobody feelings to be hurt over who fucking on who. But you know, going forward, boo, you know, if we on the same nigga or whatever it can be, you know, just keep your girl informed, girl. You know, I ain't got no problem with you fucking on the nigga. It was just weird that you didn't tell me. I wouldn't have wanted to hear that from him. I would have rather heard that from my bitch, you know, because you the person that I'm in coven with. You the person that I'm in relationship with. So I would just rather me and you be on the same page, and shit like that can't be weaponized when a nigga trying to get you up off his ass or trying to get me up off his ass, and then he able to like glitch up the system by being like, oh, really? You defended her, bitch? Ask her why the fuck she ain't telling you that I was just in that ass last night. Oop, and I oop. Okay, we ain't gonna do no letting no niggas and I oop us, girl. Okay, so let's just keep the communication real thorough. And it could have been fine. Could have been fine. But I don't know if I would agree that an apology per se. Because Kelsey wasn't dating Tory. You know, he was the lick. So there's that. Y'all gotta realize Kelsey had 3-4 different niggas going on. She was pregnant with another nigga, baby, at this time. She had another nigga who she was dealing with in prison, who was actually calling her the night all this shit. She called her nigga in prison. I guess the nigga she was dealing with in prison had a cell phone or whatever, because, you know, some inmates, depending on like what state they in and what their situation is, you know, they have phones and all of that, girl. She was talking to, she had a nigga in prison. She had a nigga baby in her stomach. You know, she had another situation, relationship going on, girl. Kelsey had 4-5 different damn ninjas happening all at once, girl. And she was texting and trying to call all their motherfucking ass tonight that all this shit happened, child. Okay? Player.
Thank you.
That's all right.
I was going around and just long as I think that's like I said, Kelsey, if you need a break or anything at the moment, or if you want to just get through this week.
No, I was just want to get through.
So you said Megan appeared like calm. You were distraught. Let's take it from there.
So she's like, Kelsey called Ferris, which is you know, co-manager, manager, person that's with her every day. And
The only reason why I'm not going into the whole he took advantage of Meg is because that ain't Meg's narrative. While she does admit that she was inebriated, I mean, I don't know to what degree, but Meg hasn't caught what happened to her rape. You know, she does acknowledge she was compromised, she believes, you know, because she had enough liquor in her system for her inhibitions to have been lessened. And drinking on that liquor, you know, allowed her to do things that maybe she wouldn't have done had she not had the spirit of liquor on her. But I ain't going into that. She ain't calling her shit rape. She ain't calling what happened to her that. So I ain't gonna call it that. I'm just gonna call it how she laid it out. So
sorry, I have to make sure I didn't lose my train of thought. So we're driving down. We were heading home, which was like at the top of the hill.
You're listening
I
to
guess
Street
he
TV.
made a U-turn or took another road off to where we ended up back on, I guess, Sunset Boulevard. And I don't know where we're going. Just driving. We didn't really have a destination, but I believe I did say we need to take her to the hospital. So Megan, she says, Kelsey called Ferris. I had already tried calling Ferris. We had bad signal, so it didn't go through. I had sent a text to her security. I sent a text to her security at the time.
Is that Justin?
That's Justin.
okay, so this is Meg is telling Kelsey to call different people at this point. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull up the text. I think this was the text that said, help. Tory just shot Meg. Let me see if I can find it. Ooh, child. Y'all thumbs up, child. A bitch of story timing. I'm working this live, girl. I'm working it. There were Exhibit 32 of the text message that Kelsey sent. Let me see. Is this it? Kelsey Harris sent to Justin Edison right after the shooting that Tory Lanez was found guilty. She wrote help. Let me see. What is this? I don't see. Okay. Oh, here it is. All right. Let me show y'all this. This is the text message that the investigators are speaking to her about, because Meg told Kelps in the back seat to hit Justin, but because they were in the road and they were in the mountains, Kelsey was having signal issues or whatnot. Here is that text message in question, as you guys can see here. Sunday, June 4th, 4:27 a.m. Help. Hold on, what the fuck did I just do? I'm on the wrong shit. Help. Tory shot Meg 911. All right. This is that text message. Oh, let me move my banner.
Yeah, because they weren't answering the calls, so I think I said like help 911. Tory shot Meg, or
Do you still have that text?
I'll have to go through my old phone. And
I'm going to show you a photograph here. This is a document titled Text Message Justin Edison. Just take a look at that.
Now, mind you, this completely disrupts all of Tory Lanez's bullshit that Kelsey popped Meg. Meg was literally in the back seat with Kelsey. Was literally telling Kelsey, the shooter, people to call, are you dumb? Like, it's just so sad, girl. It's just so sad. It's just so sad how just absurd Tory Lanez is of a human being. Just absolutely absurd. Like, the kind of person who gonna still lie even in the face of a trillion pieces of corroborating evidence against him, girl. Like, literally got literal blood on his hands, girl, and it's gonna tell you that it's ketchup. I mean, just a bona fide narcissistic sociopath, homicidal maniac.
that's it. I'll have to look at my old.
Okay, but that looks like the message that you sent.
Yeah, I don't think it's edited or anything.
Okay, so said help, Tory shot Meg 911.
Right.
Okay.
Mind you, I didn't even know that there was a recall that had been made. So I sent him a text. I think I texted Travis Ferris. I think I texted him. I know I dropped him my location.
Now, mind you, Justin, the bodyguard who Meg told Kelsey to contact, also had testified. He never got a chance to actually testify. I think he showed up on the last day of trial. Him and Daquan showed up on the last day of trial. So neither one of them were able to testify or whatever. But in earlier interviews with investigators, Justin had also told them that Tory had apologized for shooting Meg because he had to go over to Tory's house to get Megan's things, her clothes, whatever her possessions was at his house following all of this craziness. And he said that Tory was pretty apologetic and had directly apologized for shooting Meg, claiming he never, had meant to harm her, etc.
And I also sent a message to my mom, and I was like, help. Just frustrates me because, like, I was really hurt. It just makes it seem like it's mentally, like, nothing.
They gassed it the fuck out of. I'm going to be honest. I feel like Kelsey was probably the most psychologically tortured person in this whole ordeal, because she the person that had the most to lose. I mean, she is the one who had the most to gain from everything that was completely disrupted. She lost her relationship to Tory. She lost her relationship to her friend, to her boss, after she had put her life on the line for them both. And then to have to return back to like the shallows of your life and be kicked out of the camp and be kind of kicked out of this point in the progress of your career. Somebody who you went to college with, somebody whose mother you know. Kelsey is the reason why Megan is even famous to begin with. Kelsey was the one who put Megan's talent out. She was the one who put Meg's first YouTube video out of her freestyling to that Pimp C shit. All that was Kelsey's doing. That's the shit that had put Meg on the fucking map. Meg's own mother had given Kelsey her flowers for her pretty much being foundational to the origins of Megan's career. To lose somebody that you truly love, and you got to be loving somebody with your whole entire heart to put your life on the line for them. To not even ask no questions in a moment like this. And to fight for somebody until there's nothing to fight for. Even if harm and fatality has to come unto you. Even Christ says, he that lays down his life for his friend or his brother has pretty much executed the greatest act of love that can be acted. Hell, even Christ died for the sins of those that he loved. So this degree of love is like the fullest. There is no greater manifestation than sacrificing your very life. Your very life is the epitome of love in action. To have to be rejected by the person you put your life on the line for, to have to watch all those people go on with their life while you left to lick your wounds. All Meg did was pay for the bitch rent. She ain't pay her therapy bill. She ain't pay her psychiatrist bill. For her to just go back into her life after something that dark and that dense, and to not even really have a relationship to any of the people that would have been able to relate to the trauma around all that, and to reintegrate yourself back into your life and have to figure all that shit back out again from scratch, and then to watch everybody else go to blow the fuck up on the charts, go to blow up and make millions of dollars, go on tour, everybody going on to have a hot girl, hot boy summer, including Tory. That has to be some really, really, really painful betrayal. And we're going to get into Kelsey meeting up with Tory and all of that. I ain't even mad at Kelsey. But we'll get there.
I sent a help message to my mom.
And when you say you were hurt, you were physically hurt, mentally hurt?
I didn't even realize I had bruises, but my adrenaline was so high. When I say hurt, I mean emotionally.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm scared.
I was scared, you know? Like,
What were you scared of? You're in that.
I don't know. I just was scared, like everything that had just happened, you know?
Do you remember what you texted your mom?
I think I still have the messages. It was on Facebook Messenger. Because my mom, she was an Android, so like she's always on Facebook, so I knew she could see it. I think I also sent her a help message. Yeah. And so we're driving, and I also had made a phone call. Nobody was answering, and it was the person at the time that I was talking to. I made a phone call to him because I knew he picked up, and he picked up, and I let him listen to everything that was going on. I just had the phone. I told him, hey, like, this just happened. I need to stay on the phone, you know.
So you had your phone on an open line where
It was an open line.
basically you could hear what was happening inside the car.
Correct.
Why did she do that at that point?
Because, again, I was scared, and nobody had answered our calls. This is the only person I knew, just in case. I don't know what's next. So, anyways, Megan had her leg on me. I still never had looked down at her foot, or if I did, I don't recall seeing her injuries or how damaged or whatever she was. I'm in distraught. So Tory is like demanding, like, shut up, like Kelsey, shut up, you know. And the police, we're driving down the street, and the police, you know, they're coming. The policeman was behind us, but at that point, I don't think they knew this was the vehicle they were looking for. So Quan pulled over, or let them go by, and they went by. And now we're getting to our last, you know, the final moment. Now the helicopter's over the vehicle, and all the cops are behind us, and that's when, you know.
And you can hear the sirens are going.
Sirens are going.
Is Tory singing?
Pulled over. He is. He was saying things just like, please, y'all don't say anything, please. I'm about to sign a big deal or something, and like I'll give both you guys $1 million each.
Okay, so remember, Meg said when, you know, she was on the ground and he came over to her following the shooting that he was bargaining with her then, you know, saying he was on probation and all of this. Come to find out, he actually was on a form of probation from an earlier gun charge he had taken. So that was true. And Meg said that he was offering her $1 million for her silence. And now Kelsey is saying, you know, as now, you know, Quan is bringing the car to a halt. And this is literally like a set it off literal moment. Like, this is a set it off moment. Like, this is a Cleo set it off moment where they're all in the car. They know the police are approaching. They can hear the sirens. They can hear the choppers. They can hear, you know, the pending, incoming code blue. And now Tory is, you know, trying to seal everybody's mouth shut and trying to plead and cop a plea for silence in exchange for money. You know, don't say nothing, y'all. I got y'all. You know, I'm about to have a big break in my career. Like, I'm gonna take care of everything. Da 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 da. He copping his plea, girl, trying to get qualified immunity, child. And they can hear everything that's approaching. Lights flashing, the whole nine. I mean, this is an entire fucking production. It's given very much so fucking set it off. Nuts.
And I believe Megan's like, huh? You know.
All right. Street TV paying bills, and shout out to Street TV for the tee-hee-hee. You guys, please run those likes up. We're working today. We're working. We're revisiting Megan and Kelsey and Tory as this new press conference has resurfaced and reinvigorated the events that took place that led to Tory's imprisonment.
Like, what? But that was the end of that. I will be very honest. Megan's, I don't know. I feel like they had a conversation either at the driveway or at the bus stop. I don't know where it happened, but she was very calm. She wasn't upset. She didn't seem upset with him. I was confused because I'm distraught, you know.
So at this point, Kelsey is confused about why Meg seems to be so composed. She feels like there had to have been a conversation that brought about some type of comfort for Meg when he was out there with Meg in the driveway. What could have explained Meg's composure is she was really in shock. And she's drunk as well. You know, she's drunk. She's in shock. So more than likely, this was due to shock. Because Meg did tell investigators that, like, she completely was like, not with anything Tory was saying at that goddamn point. She just wanted him to help her. Like, get me off this ground, get me help. I've been shot. You talking to me about $1 million and all of this and all of that and all of that and all of this. So, you know, there was clearly no deal made. I mean, she ultimately identified him as her Uter. So more than likely this composure was due to, once again, this shock.
Nina was very like, she was okay. Like,
Maybe
I
she's in
really
shock.
Maybe she was in shock. I don't know. I can't really. I don't know. So now the vehicle's pulled over. The cops are demanding us to get out. I believe they asked Juan to get out first, then Tory, Megan, and then me, if I'm not mistaken.
Was that scary?
It was very scary and it's humiliating and embarrassing. I've never have been to jail, never have been in cuffs, never have been in anything like that. They actually, you can see the TMZ clip, they actually have me spread my legs super wide. You can look at the clip. You know, you can, it's the clip is there. You can hear me like, okay, I'm saying okay. Once they come, I think it was a female officer that put me in cuffs, and I told her, I verbatim, I said, please don't put your knee in my back. This is when George Floyd, that whole situation happened.
This is right after that, or close in time to that.
This is very, very recent.
Okay.
And she's like, she assured me that it's okay, you know.
So Meg was not the only person also concerned about how the police would handle the situation. Even Kelsey admits she too was shook. Oh, once again, black people in America was fucking shook at this point because of all the back-to-back shit that was happening to black people. So even Kelsey was concerned. So when the female officer had knelt on her back, she was like, bitch, get up off me. And the officer was just like, you know, had assured her. So Megan wasn't the only person who had these sentiments. More than likely all of them did.
From there, I guess they handcuffed us. We didn't say, you know, I honestly, like I said, my adrenaline was high. They asked me about injuries. I wasn't really worried about myself at that point. I was worried about Megan, so I didn't even care to speak on myself, which I almost regret. They take Megan, she's sitting on the curb. They have me here on the opposite side, Tory and Juan. And I'm not sure what, I now know what was disclosed, but at that point I didn't know. Ferris arrived. By the time he arrived, they were wheeling Megan off, I believe in my wheelchair or a bed. I can't recall. They put her in the ambulance and they took us, you know, to.
Did you ride in the ambulance with her?
No,
In her car.
I was in a cop car. I actually went to the jailhouse. And again, I thought that was a normal thing to do. Well, with this situation, I didn't know if I was supposed to be in an ambulance or anything. I don't know the rules. So they took us, they put me in a room, they came in, took pictures, if I'm not mistaken. I honestly don't recall them swabbing my hand for any residue or anything. And
you don't recall it happening, but it could have happened, you just don't remember.
No, I really don't, like, unless, because I don't know how that works, what the swab part is. I don't even remember them disclosing that they were about to swab me, and I know that I would remember that. Unless, again, I had very high adrenaline, maybe that part. I don't believe they swabbed me. That's my knowledge. I know they came in and took pictures. So stayed over. They took us, I guess, to a room. Asked if I wanted to say what happened, and I just feel what I know in situations like this from movies and stuff. I just asked for, you know, I was going to get a lawyer. So the next morning, 8, they released me, and
So it was like 4 hours later about, or you didn't spend the night at the jail, right?
definitely spent the night. Well, I mean, I was there all night.
It was that same night though.
Oh yes, the same.
So then you got released like
that
after several hours that
Correct.
point. Okay.
So when you get released, at some point you make a trip over to the hospital, correct?
So when I get released, they released me and Quan together. And outside of the jail, Quan said he made a comment and was like, money talks or something similar to those words. I don't know.
Did you have him elaborate on it, or did you ask?
No, I didn't ask. I was confused. He also said that Tory was trying to protect me, and I said, "Protect me from what?" He's like you'll find out later. Like everybody was playing mind games with me. I don't know what's going on.
So this is interesting. So her and Quan get released at the same time. Quan, plants the seed. He's continuing on in continuity of Tory trying to get some immunity and safety here via the persuasion of money. So he says money talks and let her know that Tory trying to protect her. So Tory already was going into complete damage control. Obviously Tory was already trying to line up the narrative to shift blame right out of the gate, girl. Like soon as Tory probably started working on that internal narrative as soon as they all got back in the SUV. Certainly once they all got arrested, his ass was going into who the fuck can I shift? He knew obviously he had a loyalty to Quan. He wasn't going to throw Quan in the mix. He knew, however, that gun that was hot to touch had been touched by Kelsey too, because they had multiple altercations while he had that gun. He knew her DNA was on that gun. He knew that when he was shooting at Meg, Kelsey was standing right behind Tory with her back turned, because they both were on the same side of the vehicle at the time that the shooting happened. So all of that gunshot residue was blowing back on Kelsey, who was standing right behind Tory. That's how the gunshot residue got on Kelsey. So he knew all this in his mind. So he was already trying to prepare his narrative, his defense, already trying to, because he knew at the end of the day, this gonna come down to either me or Kelsey, due to the fact that we the ones that had the most contact with this gun. We the ones who got gunshot residue on us. So he's already trying to line it up. And he's getting Quan to intimidate Kelsey right out of the gate, putting her up on game. He's trying to get Quan to scare Kelsey, because Quan is like, because from Tory's vantage point, he's like, if I can convince Kelsey that this shit might turn criminal and that, she might be liable for some shit, that'll help me to persuade her to just completely don't say shit, because you might fuck around and end up taking a charge for this shit too. Me and you need to be on the same page, or at best, don't say nothing. So he's already trying to, use intimidation tactics and fear tactics in order to get her to play into his narrative, because he's trying to save his own ass at this point. And Quan is the middleman mitigating this whole thing.
His friend, Quan's driver arrived, her friend arrived, and he was like, man, why, he was like, why? When he was like, I can't believe he did that. He asked his phone, okay. This is Tory's, I think, best friend. I don't know his name. Or friend. They were just all associated. Yeah. And he asked if I was okay. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm still kind of in disbelief and shock. I called Megan's manager, and I was like, hey, can somebody come pick me up? Actually, I texted his security, or I called him, one of the two, and he said, call Jilly. So I called her, or texted. I have to go back and see. And she came immediately. I went to her house. She gave me a pair of change clothes because my clothes were ripped from the altercation. Discarded them in her house. From there, you know, I asked her, like, how's Megan? Can I see Megan? We went to the hospital. I sat outside the hospital. Like, I was not outside the room or anything. I was actually outside, sitting in the car on the street.
Okay.
She said that Megan couldn't have guests. So I thought that was accurate. I thought that was true. And I'm still sitting in the car. I received a call from a jail. Didn't think that it was Tory because I actually knew somebody in jail, and he had called often, and I would answer his call. And so I just thought it was him because it was normal for him to call early or later. So when I answered it, it was Tory. Honestly, I know in that call he did ask where Megan was, and I believe I told him in the hospital. I believe he apologized.
And what do you think he was apologizing for?
I mean, everything that unfolded that night and the incident,
Okay.
you know. That was that. And I mean, I never got to see Megan since then.
Yeah.
You didn't even see her at all since she went to the hospital?
No, it was
Did you talk to Megan at least over the phone or text at some point?
later on in text messages. We did talk. She had finally texted me, but you know, this is somebody that I was with for years, day to day, every day. I know her. Like, that was my best friend. I knew her like the back of my hand. I honestly still feel like I know her like the back of my hand. Nothing's really changed. I'm somebody that, you know, like, I know everything. I'm the first person. Her team's gonna make sure I'm right there. Kelsey doesn't leave Megan's side. That's how we operate.
Right.
So when I just, you know, I kept asking, can I see Megan? I actually went back to the house. Can I see Megan? Can I see Megan? I'm still checking for her. Nobody's kind of giving me any information on it. So I kept blowing it off. I was like, okay, maybe she can't have guests.
You're listening to Street TV.
Desiree, Rock Nation. She told me that Megan was going to be down for a while, almost a year. And I believed it.
What do you mean she's gonna be down for a while? What does that mean?
Like, injured,
out of
injury,
commission.
out of commission.
Okay.
I believed it. Mind you, I'm at this house. This house is big. I'm by myself. I'm still in shock. I had never even experienced PTSD, but I knew that day when I went back to the house, it was starting to hit me.
Yeah.
So I had nobody with me. So I did ask, can I, you know, hey, I might go back, you know, I'm considering going back to Houston while Megan is healing, because they had already told me that she would be down, and they wouldn't let me go see her. So, or they said she couldn't have guests. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna consider going back to Houston until she's healed, and then I also need to go seek, you know, treatment, make sure I'm okay. I had bruises all over me. My body was in pain. My back was hurting, which I disclosed to them. I said, so I'll let you know a date and a time to book my flight. So I actually ended up booking my support to come out to LA be with me at the house. So I didn't need my flight anymore. But no sooner can I send that text, they had a flight booked for me like 2 hours later. Mind you, Megan had just asked me to get rid of my apartment. So I had like all my stuff there at the house. So me and Desiree Pettis, she communicated with me. I said, hey, like, I have a flight in 2 hours. Nobody told me, like, and I don't have, like, what am I supposed to do right here? Like, my stuff.
The reason why Kelsey and both Megan should absolutely give each other grace is because neither one of them knew what to do in a situation that neither one of them had ever been through to begin with. We're talking about profound trauma. People thought their lives were in danger. I don't even know if most people have ever been in a situation where you feel your personal life is in danger. What that does to your brain, what that does to your brain chemistry, Some people have actually developed mental illnesses as a result of being brought to the brink of death or being under that level of distress just because of all the things that physiologically take place chemically in your body when your body is in fight or flight mode. Some people never even recover from that level of terror and perceived danger. Kelsey had no obligation to know what to do or how the fuck to move because there was no script. This was unscripted reality playing out for both Meg and Kelsey. She was absolutely reduced to just being a human being. And Megan was absolutely reduced at this point to just being a human being. This is, neither one of them are experts in the psychology. This is their actual lived experience at this point. They're living completely and responding completely, authentically, and humanly to the circumstances. And everything is happening all at once and it's happening faster. And it's even there's a lot of unnatural stuff happening on top of unnatural stuff, right? Because you have, first of all, this completely unnatural event that nobody should ever be in. People should not be shot, have unwarranted violence perpetuated against them. So you already have the extreme of that. Then you have this event happening in the context of celebrity because both Tory and Megan are high profile public figures. So now you have the situation happening with the involvement of management, of record labels, of PR, and now there's all this movement. There's all now these other like shallow things coming into play to now help steer shit and control shit and all this other stuff coming into play with hands on deck. Now, because Kelsey, relatively speaking, is the least important person in all of this, the record label is looking at Kelsey as completely disposable. You know, she's ultimately irrelevant as far as they're concerned. The record label is only focused on the actual bag, the person, you know, the workhorse, the racehorse here, which is literally Megan Thee Stallion in this case. So they look at Kelsey as just a very shallow, unnecessary component of all of this, which is why she doesn't have any information. Nobody's really talking to her. Before she's even spoken to Meg, they already got a fucking flight set up for her to haul her ass back to Texas, etc. She's not actually being able to actually communicate with anybody. There's just stuff happening. She don't know if Meg and Tory have spoken. She ain't spoke to Tory at this point. You know, so she's literally just on the outskirts amidst all of the stuff that's taking place.
She tells me that it's best that I find a rental in Houston, or just find a rental. It's dangerous.
No. What she said was that she was initially, personally, didn't mind going back to Texas. She wanted to go to the hospital. She wanted to treat herself. She wanted to give Meg time to heal. But before she could even make any motion, before she could even do, even say anything gets emotion, hell, she gets a call that, baby, they already on it, girl. You got to go back. And mind you, the reason why this is fucked up is because Kelsey being able to be in control of this was in the context of, I'm coming back. I'm doing what I think needs to be done. I need to go treat myself. I'm going to let the situation breathe. I don't know how injured Meg is or isn't. She's going to need time to heal. More than likely, there's going to be nothing jumping off career-wise. She's probably going to be on a bit of a hiatus. Everything seems to be kind of locked up right now. So I'm going to go back to a familiar ground, go back to my family, you know, and chill and return. That was a different agenda from the call she got immediately to take her ass back to Texas because she was actually being fired at that moment. The goal was not for her to return back to California or to return back to Megan's side, etc. So the label getting involved, management getting involved, all these people getting involved were putting Kelsey's plans back into like a mush, back into like a, okay, well, I mean, I don't know what's going on. Like, y'all are kind of like taking this out of my hands. So I don't know what this means. You know, I'm not in control of the wheel. So what is all of this? You know, and what fucking conversations are happening on the other side to where y'all already had me booked to go to Texas. I was going to go to Texas. I knew why I was going to go to Texas. But y'all already ahead of the curve. So what does that mean? Like, she don't have no information because these are two separate things. Her choosing to go back to Texas and then whatever conversations are happening that she was not privy to that already got her motherfucking plane ticket booked up. So now she knows shit getting weird. Shit getting weird. Like, what is this? I don't know what this is.
Now, the house isn't safe to be at, you know, so I was like, okay, so just to be clear, you're telling me I need to move? I need to move after I just made an immediate move down here? Like, this is all while I'm confused.
And see, and that's her issue. I'm going to Texas to visit, just to lay low. I'm not quitting. I don't want to, you know, this is still my friend for one, my job for two. I'm not going back to Texas to live. I'm just going back to Texas because I don't know what else the fuck to do. Nobody's talking to me. You know, I don't know what's going to go on with Meg. I need treatment psychologically and physically, but y'all shipping me back. And like, that's kind of that. It's not like, oh, we got you a ticket. You know, we gonna fly you back in. Meg gonna call you. It's just like, no, bitch, like, get your shit, pack your shit. We already got your ticket ready. You know, to go back to Texas. Yeah, very different plans than I'm going back to Texas temporarily of my own choice versus the label already deciding that, not having even spoken to me, and then there's no like full plan given to me. So am I being fired? Like, what do you mean I'm going back? What do you mean this is a one-way ticket? What do you mean? Like, what's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen to Meg? Like, what's up? So she's confused.
Like, you know, so I'm having to deal with all this, and I can't even just kind of try to get my mind right. So, you know, so she's like, yes. And I'm like, okay. So I said, well, can you at least rebook my flight for a different date? Like, just let me try to get help to help me move my boxes and stuff. I had heavy stuff. And they said, okay, just let us know what date you want to leave. And the driver.
So, baby, they told Kelsey to gather all of her shit, girl. Okay? Girl, you're leaving the Flavor of Flav mansion, girl. Like, clock not given.
Had arrived. We actually were supposed to have, we had other obligations. So a driver just appeared, thankfully. And he actually helped me get all my stuff out of that house. And I went and I booked a hotel. And yeah.
Did Tory try reaching you after the shooting?
He did.
What happened?
So the first call came to Quan, if I'm not mistaken. And he was whispering.
Going live.
All right, they paying bills. We paying bills too, honey. Shout out to Street TV once again.
Like, who is this? He's like, big head. Step back and like, don't know what this is. So, I believe those are the words he said.
Big head? What's that?
Big head. I don't know. Like I said, we've never met or like we've never had that. So I think, I don't know.
You think it was Tory whispering to you on?
No, it was definitely Quan.
Oh, it was Quan talking. Okay.
Yeah. And basically he was just like, he had our stuff, I guess our suitcases and things had been released to him. And he had our stuff, let's make arrangements to pick it up. And so I was okay to meet with him to pick my stuff up because, like, I had to go back to Houston. Every piece of item that I had, I needed, And he was like, I'm trying to remember the full. I believe that was really it.
And this was the next day, or when was this?
Honestly, I would have to look back.
Okay.
And, it wasn't far from that date.
Yeah.
So which one you thought?
It's a long day.
Yeah, I know.
So you go pick up the ones and
The
pick up the
suitcases,
stuff.
the
Yeah.
suitcases, yes. So I dropped him, my pin to my hotel. I believe this is the communication with me and the security guard. And I want to make sure I'm being accurate with that.
When you say the security, are we talking
Or
about
the driver, Quan, sorry. I really don't know what the role was. He was
It's okay.
everything.
If it's easier, we can refer to Quan as Quan versus
Okay,
Justin. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so he came. He actually asked me to come to a studio location, and I said, no, I don't feel safe doing that. He's like, why? Like, you act like something's gonna happen, and I'm like,
I mean, yeah, she's going to say because she's not a public speaker. She's not a professional speaker. She's a personal assistant. She's just a regular person. So yeah, like everyday people use and all type of fillers in between their thoughts, but she's not a public speaker, so there's really no reason for her to be, speaking like a damn 21st century scholar per se.
I just don't feel safe doing that. We're not friends.
You're listening to
So when they came, and it was Tory, Quan, and it was another individual. I don't know who he was. I think he was Caucasian, but I can't remember. Prior to me actually going out to meet with him, I did, I updated my sister and I said, hey, like, just let me know this is my location. I was still taking safety precautions because I was scared still.
Okay, so at this point, should have made Quan and Tory that made contact with her. They're wanting to meet up with her. She contacts her sister, gives her sister location because she still don't know what's up. Because once again, Kelsey is just in the eye of the storm. Ain't nobody talking to her. She don't know what's going on. She's trying to figure out what's going on. How we going to play this. We've had this I know what you did last summer as event that happened. Are we going to continue to cover this thing up? What we going to do? TMZ reporting on everything. So, of course she's open to hearing from Tory because right now she ain't got no reason not to. Y'all got to remember, this whole thing about her talking to Tory, entertaining Tory, yeah. Not only did she entertain Tory, so did Megan. Megan got back in the fucking SUV with Tory. And like Kelsey was saying, was practically unbothered, for the majority of the damn ride, which we're going to chalk up to shock. But I'm going to add another element to that. It also could have been because somewhere in Megan's mind, while she was hurt, felt betrayed, mad as hell, and in physical pain, she probably too felt like Tory didn't mean to do it, especially since he immediately went to begging for her silence and apologizing and continuing on in the same fashion once they got in the vehicle. So she had no reason to not entertain Tory. I mean, the last thing Kelsey knew, they all was entertaining Tory. They all were in the SUV. They all were, might I add, not only in the SUV together, they were all headed to Megan's place together after the shooting. The plan was for them to go back to Meg's house and to figure out what to do next and how they were going to deal with what had just happened. So they were all still a group. It wasn't like they just all disassembled following the shooting and Meg and Kelsey went running off into the woods together and Tory and Quan peeled off. They were all still very much so a group. There was still very much so formality. There was still very much so unity. So once again, Kelsey had no reason to per se completely obstruct to picking up the phone for Tory or even communicating to Tory, because they were all still a group. Now, at this point, a dysfunctional group. At this point, a confused ass group. At this point, you know, a dysfunctional ass group, but nonetheless was still a group.
And I got him a vehicle.
All right, Street TV paying bills. And we paying them too. So when them likes up, y'all, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs the hello.
Quan stepped out, Tory was driving. And, well, not driving, he was in the driver's side. It was parked.
And this is outside the hotel.
This is outside the hotel. And in that car, he was like, Kelsey, you know, he's very apologetic. Mind you, this is somebody, me, Megan, and him, we were all friends up until that night. Mm-hmm. So although I was scared, and I still was like, let me hear him out. Mm-hmm. You know, this night, it was a night gone bad. Mm-hmm. Alcohol was involved, and I know he regretted it. Mm-hmm. And so he was just apologetic. He said, Kelsey, you know, she attacked me with my artistry. That's what really bothered him, and that's what he put emphasis on.
So according to Kelsey, Tory fucking admits that pretty much his ego got fucking bruised because Megan had roasted his ass down to the motherfucking ground in that SUV after he started fucking with her due to her laughing. And because he was suffering from short man syndrome and being emasculated by this woman who's already physically taller than him. She's a bigger star than him. She's roasting his ass down to the motherfucking ground. And he just took another L because Kylie didn't let him hit that sweet white puss to rub in Travis Scott's face. And alcohol is all up involving us. And he makes the irrational choice to pull out a GUN with no intention to per se hurt Meg, but Meg ended up hurt nonetheless.
And I said, Tory, but you're wrong. You know, like, you're wrong. I made sure I made him aware that he was wrong.
That what he did was wrong.
What you did was wrong. Like, why would you pull out a gun? Like, none of this is okay. You know? And I told him, you know, I'm not okay right now. Like, my mental state is not okay. I have injuries. Like this is not right. You know, I said, Megan is shot. She, you know, or injured, or she's in the hospital.
Did he ever apologize to you?
Tory, he did apologize to me also. And he's just like, you know, he's being very apologetic just for the whole situation. And I'm just like, you need to apologize directly with her also. I didn't know he had, at that point, I didn't know he had sent her messages. Me and Megan hadn't spoken. I'm reaching out, you know, this prior to, I want to rewind, prior to me even taking that meeting, it was like her team, they were treating me very weird, very strange, and I didn't understand why. I was reaching out to her team, you know, I'm asking them, like, what am I supposed to do?
It didn't matter that she told him that what hospital Meg was in, because he wasn't going to be able to get into the hospital as a visitor anyway. That's the reason why she couldn't actually get into the hospital, because this was during the pandemic. So they were not allowing people to just congregate in these type of spaces. Remember, she was kept outside all night outside of the hospital. They wouldn't even let her in. So her telling him that, and once again, they're all still friends, like she just said. She's still operating in the vein of friendship, but even though she told him it was nothing he was going to be able to do, you know, because he wasn't going to be able to get into the hospital, just like she wasn't able to get into the hospital.
I'm staying in the hotel, and finally, I think I sent like a long message, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what am I? Me and Megan should be moving as a unit. Like, why am I being kind of pushed out? Y'all told me to move. Where am I supposed to go home to? Megan had asked me to get rid of my apartment, and that's what I did. You know, I've always had my own things, own stuff. I always picked, that. So she asked me to get rid of it, and I did. And so I finally sent like a text, and it was just like, this isn't right. And Megan finally had called. I think they kind of sensed like, Kelsey, and she's like, Kelsey, find a place to stay in Houston. I'm gonna pay it up for a year. And I said, I said, Megan, are you sure? And she's like, yeah.
So mind you, so now she's had this conversation with Meg. This is before the Tory meetup or whatever. So Meg is telling her, find her apartment, girl, like, and I'll cover it, all of that,
So she asked me to get rid of it, and I did. And so I finally sent like a text, and it was just like, this isn't right. And Megan finally had called. I think they kind of sensed like, Kelsey, and she's like, Kelsey, find a place to stay in Houston. I'm gonna pay it up for a year. And I said, I said, Megan, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. She said, I'm gonna be down for a year. Like, Kelsey, I'm like, I can't walk. And I'm like,
was the idea when she said she was gonna pay for a place for a year, it was the place for also her to call a home base in Houston?
No.
Okay. It was for you.
For me.
She asked you to move, so she felt responsible that you didn't have a place and wanted to get you a place back in Houston.
Right.
Okay.
I never asked them to give me a spot. They did this voluntarily and for a year, which was not normal, because we're supposed to move as a unit. Mind you, I had also found out that she had left to New York. I guess she caught a jet. So I was just confused. I was very confused. Like, I'm still here in LA, and y'all are, what's going on?
You just in the dark.
I was very much in the dark. The people that I talk to every day and I'm with every day, and I was off.
Baby, let me tell you, baby, this is some cold shit, bitch. Woo, baby. The way they disposed the fuck out of Kelsey, not only was Meg already out of the hospital, Meg was already out of LA. She was already on the jet, gone. So Meg and her team, who Kelsey was a part of, already was having all this conversation outside of Kelsey. Kelsey was literally treated like the outcast. She was really treated like the little caboose that could. And this happened before her meeting with Tory Lanez. Meg had already taken care of herself, baby. She gone. She on a jet, bitch. She gone. She left her homegirl who just fought for her life, who just protected her all night, who ain't even been treated for her bruises, who ain't even been treated for her injuries. Hold on. Let me block this person that's spamming my chat right now. Or maybe that's accidental. Okay. I think that's an accident. I'm gonna let you have that. Meg already gone. First of all, I don't even understand this on a friendship level. Maybe I will understand. Now, mind you, this is before her meeting with Tory. So Meg has already reacted. She's already made her choice with her team outside of Kelsey's knowledge before the Tory meeting even fucking happens. So everybody talking about, oh, Meg kicked her, gave her the boot, sent her home after she met up with Tory. No. Meg was already gone, already had left. They had already had a plane ticket, already had her, lined up to go back to Texas. All this shit before there was even a meeting with Tory in place. Meg had already motherfucking hit it. I might can understand Meg's behavior if Kelsey was just a literal employee. Like some bitch you pulled off the yellow pages. Some bitch you pulled off of LinkedIn. They come and they go. This was your friend, bitch. This was your friend. This was your friend. Your friend. You don't, and this is the thing about all these middle people that are said to have gotten in Meg's ear. This is my issue with all of that. This is your friend, bitch. You don't let the hirees, the plastic ass people in your life, inform you more than you yield to your own better judgment, and you talk and deal with your friend fully. This is your friend. I don't give a fuck who would have been saying what. It was Meg's job to confront Kelsey about anything anybody was trying to get her to do as it relates to Kelsey, any type of anybody trying to drop information, a narrative. That's Meg's responsibility. To be a grown-ass woman and to talk to her friend about anything that she knows would cause her to maybe move differently. You don't leave your friend outside of being able to advocate for themselves. You don't leave your fucking friend outside of being able to speak to what the fuck you making a claim of or a narrative out of. I don't even fuck with these type of fucking friends. The audacity for you to sit and entertain any type of narrative, whether it's encouraged by your own intrusive thoughts or whether it's encouraged by outside parties that lead you to making an executive decision for us both, and you keep me out of the loop. You don't even give me an opportunity to clarify. You don't give me an opportunity to debunk. You don't give me an opportunity to reason with. You don't bring me into that shit at all. That's some fucked up shit. Now, once again, this is why I also keep using the word grace, because all of this is happening amidst trauma. Now it's being co-opted by the business part of Megan's life, which is the label. They're going into damage control. I can also understand why nobody was able to move perfectly, including Megan. Nobody was able to move perfectly. Kelsey wasn't able to move perfectly because this is real life happening in real time. Megan able to move perfectly, but kind of like this attempt on behalf of some of y'all to try to like make Kelsey the bad guy and to kind of like project this responsibility on her while being completely empathetic toward Meg, but being completely apathetic toward Kelsey is crazy. When if anybody had more responsibility to actually operate accordingly, it should have been the big dog in the situation, which is Meg. I don't understand how the fuck Kelsey is expected to have been some damn superwoman and to have operated, with this all-knowing understanding perfectly under these circumstances, etc., and then be fucking villainized, and then as if she didn't get her ass whooped, as if she wasn't the one putting her life on the line all night, as if she wasn't the one who just tied up her life. Kelsey was the most vulnerable person in the situation. She wasn't the rich person. She wasn't the star in the situation. She didn't have a machine to protect her, to guide her. She She was a friend who then became the damn help and now being treated like the damn trash. Megan and Tory had team, management, all this shit, had all these other folk coming in to nest them. And just the disrespect and dishonor of letting other people fucking influence you about a bitch you knew before you even knew Beyonce, Jay-Z, before you knew a Rock Nation, before you was at a Rock Nation brunch, before you knew a fucking Tory Lanez, a Quan, before you knew a Cardi B, before there was a WAP, before there was a Nicki Minaj collaboration, before there was anything. And you don't give that bitch the opportunity to talk to you. You don't give her the opportunity to speak to whatever the fuck is being spoken about her outside of her presence. It's the ultimate unfriendliness. The ultimate unfriendliness.
Get immediate updates on anything had shut me out. I didn't understand why. So anyways, and
Let's go back to Tory.
yeah, I'm about to get right back into that. So anyways, he in to sum it up, he was very apologetic. I told him you're wrong, like for what you did, like this is not okay. And he said Kelsey, like what can I do? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What can you do? And I guess his lawyer, probably per him, has said that he goes, can I invest in a, or do you need a job? Do you want to work with me? And I'm like, huh? Why do I need to work with you? Tori, I'm sorry, but no, I don't want any correlation with you. And he said, do you need to get you a lawyer? And I said, I don't need you to do anything for me, Tori. Like, why do I need you to get me a lawyer?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, can I, what's something that you want? What's something you want to do? Like, do you want to invest into a business? And I'm like, huh? He said, Kelsey, basically, you know what I'm saying. His, per him, Sean Holly advised him to word it that way. And I told him, no, I don't need anything from you. And he's like, okay, well, just think about it and just let me know. And so at the end of that, he asked for a hug. And I said, I didn't want to hug him.
And what did you think he was trying to accomplish by making that offer to you?
It's not no letting. See, that's my issue. Maybe Meg did, but like Kelsey said, they wasn't letting her and Meg communicate. No, it's not no let, because Megan directly got on the phone with Kelsey to tell her to pack your shit, bitch, and find a place for a year. I done peeled off and already left California. Go back to Texas. So this idea that they didn't communicate, no, they communicated. It's just that Meg and her team were prioritizing Meg. And Kelsey wasn't thought of at all. Kelsey wasn't significant at all at this point. Meg picked and chose when she wanted to give a fuck about Kelsey after that, because they also spoke one other time. Once she got back home to Texas, they didn't speak again until Megan was about to go live and pretty much called Tory Lanez to the carpet. And she called Kelsey and said, do you want me to clear your name in this? Because obviously, his fans are trolling. They claiming you shot me, etc. I can clear your name if you want me to do that. And she's like, yeah, I want you to clear my name. Absolutely, I want you to clear my name. So Meg was picking and choosing. Nobody was keeping Meg from not speaking to Kelsey. Nobody was keeping Meg from not fucking with Kelsey. Meg had full autonomy. And if she wanted to make space for her friend, she could have made space for her fucking friend. If she wanted her friend in the mix, her friend would have been in the mix. If she wanted to take time to fully unpack all this shit alongside her friend, that's the time she could have took to do so. She didn't do that. Meg primarily focused on herself, which is okay. But if Meg allowed other people to talk her into somehow in some way, which obviously, hold on, we can destroy the whole narrative that people got in Meg's ear. Because if that was the case, Meg wouldn't have called Kelsey ass months later and asked her, do you want me to clear you? Because Kelsey would have been the enemy. Meg just did not care at that point. She had very little capacity to really be considerate of Kelsey. She didn't understand that her and Kelsey were not equals. Like, you're not having to rethink all of this shit. We're not equals in this whole thing. I'm the person that lost the most in this whole shit, aka Kelsey. You know, you still got a flourishing career. You know, you still are the race horse. You're still going toward your promised land. I'm really the one sitting here in the ruins of it all. I don't got the same level of access. My job done been disrupted. I got to figure out what I'm going to do for fucking money now. You know, so Megan just kind of like let Kelsey go figure her own shit out, not really being mindful that Kelsey was the most vulnerable out of them both because they were not equal economically. They were not equal in career direction. They were not equal in even resources. They were night and day.
I don't know if he was just trying to right his wrongs for what he did to all of us, and me, of course. I don't want to assume anything, but I mean,
Here's how women are able to earn $1,000 in 30 days.
I don't know if that was his way of, he don't want to pay directly for injury.
When he offered you all these things, was it over the course of just one conversation, one meeting, or was it the course of like over several texts and phone calls or anything like that?
It was over, of course, for sure.
Over texts, phone calls, do you remember?
I believe a phone call, yeah, and phone call and a text.
Do you remember?
My issue is now that Meg is kind of like more on the other side of this, and there's a lot of years now in between her and this event. Meg should, you know, because she's been in treatment for her trauma around losing her mama, her drinking, her mental health issues. I would have hoped by now that Megan would come to understand that just like she ran away from all her problems and used maybe sex, use men, use alcohol, use working as a distraction, that one of the things she has distracted herself from is Kelsey. And I would hope that like she would have a reckoning moment with that. Like, you know what? In all of my avoidant style, I also like did abandon my friend in this process. And I might not have had the capacity to like see clear and think clearly myself at the time all this shit happened, because it was too much going on for me to have really thought super clear. And I needed to kind of go into self-preservation mode, and I didn't have the capacity to really consider other people at that point. But now that I realize I do run, and I ran from a lot of my problems, I ran from that event, I ran from a lot of things in my life, that one of the things I also did run from was I ran from Kelsey. And Meg need to be able to look back at this and realize that Kelsey was a victim too. She needs to understand that Kelsey was her friend and that she contributed to making a bad situation even worse, because she also dropped the ball in terms of how Kelsey was to be dealt with and how Kelsey was to be treated professionally and personally. Kelsey didn't do anything to Meg to warrant this. I do know that things got, even worse between them because of, shit played out on social media. Kelsey felt like Meg really wasn't going as hard, which I can understand why Kelsey felt that way. Even though I do, like I said before, Meg did clear it. Meg cleared it and said, the girl did not shoot me, and you're an idiot for even trying to spin that fucking narrative. But I think because social media was so overwhelming and there was so much trolling and Kelsey was continuing to have to wake up to those narratives that she popped Megan, even though Meg technically in an isolated fashion did clear Kelsey. I think Kelsey just felt like she could have been defended more. And ultimately, somewhere in her, she thought Meg would come back for her. Because she had no reason not to be came back for her. And then I think as time grew and Kelsey began to continue to be trolled. And once again, you got to realize Kelsey is the most vulnerable person out of all of them because she's not a huge social media presence. So she doesn't even have a platform, that can really probably make her feel satisfied if she speaks, to her own defense. These people got marketing and PR behind them. At this point, Kelsey just a regular person dealing with the quantification of being misrepresented in the media just because Tory wants to deflect and shift blame. And I think because of all she put into her relationship to Megan, and certainly the fact that she put her very life on the line for Megan, not once but twice. Twice in one night, she put her life on the line for Megan. I can understand her feeling so hurt and feeling and eventually becoming angry. Angry. And once again, Kelsey had to watch everybody else go on. Tory went on to perform at Rolling Loud, do videos, diss songs. Megan done gone on to Nicki, to Beyonce, to WAP, to Cardi. And Kelsey is at home in a one-bedroom apartment collecting unemployment. Make it make sense. And then she's feeling betrayed. She's not feeling like her truth is triumphing all of the fake trolly narratives. She's having to relive these traumatic events as well as they play out over the course of social media. She doesn't have access to the best of therapists like Meg and Tory does. These people are filthy rich. She's not a filthy rich bitch. She doesn't have access to the most expensive rehabilitation, mental health doctors and facilities. She can't go take a month off like Meg and go get quality substantive help. Her situation is very different. So I can even humanize her anger. She dissed Meg. She did a diss song. And to be honest, in some ways, rightfully so. You had the nerve to abandon me, bitch. The least I can do is diss your ass in a song. I put my life on the line for you, bitch. And there honestly is nothing that you could fucking do to ever repay me, but equally put your motherfucking life on the fucking line. But not only have you not been able to do that, you ain't even be able to do the lesser shit that would clean the stuff up. Like, come back for me. Talk to me. Heal with me. Be invested in my life after the aftermath of all this shit. Thank me at the very fucking least. So, bitch, one diss song and a few live streams where I might have tugged on your motherfucking lace front. Okay. Charge it to the game, bitch, the way I had to charge it all to the game. The way I had to charge you breaking girl code to the game. The way that I had to charge you and your team already icing me the fuck out before I was even able to really even talk to you and have a fucking one-on-one. I had to charge it to the game. I had to charge a lot of shit to the game. So you can charge it to the game. Anything I did in anger and in frustration after all I had been through on behalf of you, yeah, you can minimize whatever shit I said. Because at the end of the day, bitch, I did for you in the most Christ, New Testament, divine feminine ass way, bitch. You mad because of something I might have said, bitch. Think about what I did. Major in what I did. Major in what I did. Don't be an incel, debased, dense person and focus on what I said out of rightful frustration, out of rightful anger, and then minimize what I did, which is being overlooked as you gaslight me by focusing on my reaction to you abandoning and throwing me away like a wet wipe. In order for Meg and Kelsey to be able to clean this thing up, Meg would have to, for one, completely remove sight of herself. And then two, she would have to completely humanize Kelsey to make this right. But as long as Meg is in her ego about this, and she's got her ego in this collaborating with the politics of the industry and all the other variables that influence the way this shit rolled out, she's never going to be able to create a space safe enough and cough up a sentiment that is sincere and holistic enough for it to have a powerful resonance within Kelsey. She can do a lot of petty things to a bitch she put her whole life on the line for. She can do that. She can do that. She can do that. Somebody executed the greatest act of protection, the greatest act of love for you. I get to be petty. Sorry. I get to be frustrated. Sorry. I get to have a few outbursts. Sorry. And still nothing really compares in comparison. Because even in the whatever shit Kelsey did, she ain't never did shit. She still ain't never did nothing that resulted in an injury to Megan. Kelsey has every right to have any degree of frustration she wants. She has every motherfucking right to feel however the fuck she needs to feel. And if Megan has the right to not give a fuck about Kelsey, if Megan has the right to have walked away from everybody, if Megan has the right to have done all the things that people feel she had the right to do, Kelsey has all the right to do whatever the fuck she needs to, want to, and desire to. Every motherfucking right, including be mad as hell, including writing a dish record, including telling her truth and her tea and holding Megan Thee Stallion accountable. Because at the end of the night, bitch, if you really want to call it and you really want to pull it and you really want to stir it up, this would have never happened had you not decided to go back for the nigga to begin with. Had you left the drunk-ass leprechaun in a chloroform-filled pool with a white bitch while we was on our way back to the Capitol Hill hole, none of this would have never happened to begin with if you really want to stir it the fuck up. If you really want to shake the motherfucking table. Had you let Jaquan take us on into the motherfucking sunset like we was on our way to, none of this would have took place to begin with. Had you let God do what Spirit was doing, girl, which was separating the wheat from the tare and leading the tare in a pool and taking the wheat on home to Dick Daddy, none of this would have took place to begin with. Had you not got to all of a sudden immediate inspiration to want to U-turn the motherfucking car to go back for an alleged fucking slipper, knowing your ass was going back to motherfucking Tory and for Tory, this would have never happened. Bitch, it was your choice to go back. It was your choice to pull the reverse Uno. I don't care what y'all say. Megan owes Kelsey a lot more than what Kelsey got. I don't give a damn. 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 And I can give grace to how everybody moved initially. Her and Kelsey was confused. Kelsey arguably, according to some of y'all, didn't move how she should have moved. Okay, cool. Megan equally didn't move how the fuck she... Okay, cool. Cool. Could give grace to all that. Now we years out. We years out. And as we can see, Kelsey name still being dragged through the mud. Kelsey still being slandered. Kelsey still being trolled. And the worst part about that is, I don't even have a relationship to the bitch that I thought having the back of was even worth. I don't even have a relationship to the motherfucker that I even took all this on for. That's what makes it so fucking tragic and so fucking sad, is that Kelsey's still living in the aftermath of the fallout between Tory and Megan. And she still doesn't even have relationship to the person that she put all that shit on the line for. Megan popping bottles in the club right now, selling fucking bikinis and giving away hundreds and thousands of fucking dollars to random ass C-list female rappers, when she honestly need to be expeditiously overnighting a stack of two to Kelsey to this day and be paying her ass for reparations. Kelsey should still be dripping in reparations. The trauma she endured to protect Megan that night is worthy of honor and fucking reparations, monetarily, if nothing else. The gaslighting is still taking place right now as Kelsey is forced to continue to put her life together and watch Tory, who she also gave a benefit of the doubt to, throw her under the bus, and the person she loved, who didn't return for her, go on as if she never mattered, as if she never happened. That's fucked up.
You still have that text?
When I tell you that phone, I have to go back and literally go through everything. It's like powered off.
Yeah.
You still have that phone?
I do.
So don't delete anything just in case. Go over it.
Okay.
All the things
Yeah.
we talked about. You know, we want to ask you additional questions about it. Now, over the course.
Yeah, I'm not going to be repeating myself, so, because a lot of y'all are putting comments in the chat that have already been completely nuancedly answered to, so some of y'all can hit the rewind button. But for the same reason Kelsey would pick up the phone for a man who just shot her friend, it's the same reason why her friend got back in the SUV with the man who just shot her motherfucking ass. Once again, what's good for the goose is good for the motherfucking gander. If you're going to have a judgment about Kelsey, then what you are going to do is equally judge Megan. So if it don't make no sense for Kelsey to have picked up the phone for the man who just shot her friend, it didn't make no motherfucking sense for her friend who got shot to have gotten back in the SUV to be taken to her personal private home who had just popped her either. The reason why Megan got back in that car and the reason why Kelsey entertained Tory afterwards is because they were all still friends, as Kelsey said. They were on their way to Megan's home to deal with all of this as a group, as a community. That's why she answered the phone. And that's why Megan got her ass back in the car with her perpetrator. Because he had not been completely concluded as a perpetrator at that point. They had not even processed enough what had taken place to have made any solid judgment about one another at this point. All this shit literally happened all at the same time. A shooting, trying to recover, getting locked up. All this shit happened all in one breath. You don't need to agree. I said what I said. It's not about whether you agree or not. I really don't give a fuck if you agree or not. This is literally what's coming out of the person's mouth. This is what's coming out of Kelsey's mouth. Now, she told you why, she told you what, and she told you where. You don't have to agree with it. You don't gotta accept it. It really doesn't even fucking matter, to be honest. It doesn't matter. But she told you what, she told you where, and she told you why. She picked up the phone for the perpetrator and Meg got her ass back in the truck with the perpetrator. Figure it out.
The phone calls or texts when he's offering these things, does it occur over several months, or what are we talking about here?
All the way up until I think you guys finally picked up charges on it.
Okay.
And then stop reaching out.
And it stopped.
And then you stopped having contact with Megan at some point, right?
So yeah, with Megan, and so okay, with Megan, yes, she. Oh, and I have these text messages also. She asked me, she says, Kelsey, do you want me to include you in my statement? Prior to that, she had told me, she didn't want me in the media. And I said, Megan, I need you to protect me in this because they're saying that I probably shot you. They see a TMZ clip is circulating. People are threatening me. People are threatening my mom. People are threatening my family.
When was this, would you say?
This was once everything broke onto the internet.
Why was it saying that you shot her?
Because they seen that me and Tory had, I think the article came out that me and Tory were detained and Megan was in the hospital, so it just made it look like.
Oh, I see, the optics were looked like
right.
that.
So then she had texted me, and she was like, "Hey, do you want me to include you in my statement?" And I said, "Please, I would be thankful for that." And I said, I can also get me a statement typed up on my.
I didn't state that she was naked in a bikini. How can you be naked and in a damn bikini? A bikini does not result in nudity. When she got out of the car the first time, they was just all having a verbal confrontation in the SUV. And she got her drunk ass out of the car and sat at a bus stop because everybody was getting on her damn nerve because Tory had just exposed that Megan been also fucking on Tory after Megan had put Kelsey's pussy on Tory. So now Kelsey was on her ass as well. Now you done been shot though. And once again, I don't have a judgment about her getting in the car or not getting in the car. Y'all the ones who have a judgment about Kelsey entertaining Tory after the shooting. I'm only making the fair point that Megan also got with Tory after the shooting. She got her ass back in the car. And like Kelsey said, they were on their way to Megan's home to deal with all of this. So you can't really judge one without judging the motherfucking other. It can actually be argued that what Megan, if we're talking about what people should have did, which I don't really think this is a situation about shoulda, it's just a situation that fucking happened that was unprecedented, and people just moved how the fuck they move, never have gone through something like this before. But it can be argued that Megan could have just resisted getting back in the car, especially since the police had been called at that damn point. And she could have just screamed out for help and waited for police to pull up exactly where she was. But like Kelsey said, by the time she had got her ass whipped for the second time trying to save Megan's life, Meg was already on her feet and back at the driver's passenger door. She don't even know how Megan made it from the driveway to now back standing beside the car, the SUV. So Megan entertained Tory, got back in that car with her shooter, and Kelsey picked up the phone. And y'all gotta also remember, because I see that some of y'all are having a real hard time remembering that this is Kelsey's abuser as well. Y'all have engaged in y'all weird ass parasocial relationship to the celebrity in this case in such a way that you've also forgotten that Kelsey too is the victim. So this isn't just about Megan. And if Megan was okay getting her ass back in the car with Tory, who had just hurt her, Kelsey also can choose to pick up the phone if she so wants to for her perpetrator, because he also caused her bodily harm and injury. Oh, do I need to remind you of her injuries? Oh, here we are. So, just like Megan can do whatever the fuck she wanted to do, if she felt comfortable enough, if she wanted to go on and continue to be friends with the nigga, she could, she can. If she didn't want nothing to do with him, her choice. But it wasn't just about Meg. This was also Kelsey's abuser. And if she wanted to hear him out, if she wanted to talk to him, because this ain't just about Meg, she can do what the fuck she wanted to do. This is not a Megan exclusive. Some of y'all are getting fucked up because y'all sucking on Megan's pussy. Y'all deep off in her clitoris. Y'all are obsessing over her and forgetting that there's other fucking people in this situation as well. So this ain't just about protecting Megan. Kelsey was trying to figure out her own shit with the nigga she had been battling it out and also had a friendship too as well. Megan is not the only person who fucking exists, as much as some of y'all are trying to make this only and solely about Megan Thee Stallion.
At that time, I had got Dawn for my physical injuries that Tory did. So no sooner could I say that, she had to make a post on Instagram, and when she made that post, there was no protection. She just pretty much said that she,
Now, I find it funny that some of y'all will be quick to call other women and other men male identified, but then when it's time to identify with seeing a motherfucking woman, you got women. You got fucking women not protecting women. You got women okay with women not protecting women. Y'all should be able to see, as a collective of women's community, y'all should be able to relate, identify, and humanize both women in this situation. But instead, y'all so caught up in y'all parasocial delusionment that y'all are willing to completely dehumanize and vilify one woman in an attempt to be in the more popular, sensationalized woman's coochie crack, instead of actually being women at this point and identifying from woman to woman. Some of y'all are weird. You're weird.
She said that I have the screenshot. She pretty much disclosed events without really disclosing everything. But just as my best friend, she could have said something in the words of like, they would have protected me. She left me in the hot seat with them. After you just texted me and asked if I wanted to get included in the statement, you still put out a statement without me, you know?
What the statement said, what was the gist of that statement?
Can I see my phone?
What she said? Did she say she was shot?
What she said was, oh, that's the sleep to video she said. I have it, but and I want to verbatim. I want the statement because then this is when everything, all the assumptions against me really began. She basically had said, I want to find the actual statement. Sorry.
No, take your time.
You're listening to Street TV.
Okay, so I think we're going to clip it there and get into Tory Lanez now. So, Tory, what's interesting about Tory, because something had happened earlier in the chat that made me want to alley-oop to this part. And we're going to talk about it briefly. So this is a timeline of the events. I want to focus on this particular timeline, this part of the timeline. July 15th of 2020. In a since deleted Instagram post, Stallion says she suffered gunshot wounds the night of Lane's arrest. Quote, on Sunday morning, I suffered gunshot wounds as a result of a crime that was committed against me and done with the intention to physically harm me, Stallion wrote. Quote, I was never arrested. The police officers drove me to the hospital where I underwent surgery to remove the bullets. Now, this is after the TMZ footage and all that shit goes out, blah, 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 blah. People confused. Is it glass? Was it a bullet? So now she's clarifying. Tory has been arrested at this point for carrying a firearm, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to August. Stallion publicly identified Lanez as the person who shot her. Quote, you shot me and you got your publicists and your people going to these blogs lying and shit, Stallion said on Instagram Live. Stop lying. Why lie? I don't understand. I try to keep the situation off the internet, but you're dragging it. All right? So, Tory Lanez's goofy, stupid ass could not just hold his mule. Okay? When Megan first had to address this shit, all she addressed was the fact that I was shot. Yes, indeed. She had not put a name on it. According to Megan, she was never going to put a name on it. If Tory, after all he had just put her ass through, just would have been willing to fall the fuck back, nigga. Fall the fuck back. Because ultimately, I'm trying to protect you. But also, we got all this footage that I got to speak to. So, I got to clear some part of this up. But I don't need you really getting in the way because you bound to trigger me, bitch. And then I'm bound to call you by your John Hancock. Tory claims that he received a phone call as well in the interim of all this. He claims it was somebody from Rock Nation. He claims that person pretty much also told him to fall the fuck back like, whoa. That's advice that Tory Lanez should have taken. Where Tory Lanez fucked up at is he didn't trust whoever that representative was from Rock Nation, and he didn't trust Megan to not call his ass by name. So once the glass narrative started going around, his ass started taking to live streams trolling, being antagonistic. Why would you do that in a situation where you know you are the perpetrator? This is why narcissism will always cause a prideful motherfucker to fall directly on their own sword, and destruction will always precede pride. Had Tory Lanez stay his ass off the internet, fell the fuck back, giving Megan Thee Stallion 50 feet, and not allow his own paranoia, his own anxiety, his own arrogance, the troll in him to get the best of him, it's quite possible that Megan might have never identified him as the shooter. She might have sent a lot of subliminals in music. She might have talked about the situation without ever identifying the who, the what, the where, the blah, 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 blah. But because he insisted upon being a motherfucking troll, he tried to get ahead of it, which I just don't know what Tory's end game was. I don't know how at the point you decide that you gonna start socially fucking with the person you shot, while also wanting to get away with the crime you committed against that person, and you think antagonizing them is going to accomplish said immunity, said non-accountability. I'm not understanding the play here. Because if I was Tory and I was somebody that wanted to completely get the fuck away with what the fuck I'd done, one of the ways I would have encouraged that would have been sending balloons, hot chocolate, fingernail clippers, Victoria's Secret bras, Target gift cards, Temu hauls, every day for years to come, completely kissing ass, being a sweetener in this situation rather than being an antagonist in the motherfucking situation. Why and how was this supposed to turn out well if you were going to choose to publicly taunt, agitate, and provoke the person who you know had the keys, girl, to your freedom and your liberation? That's why I really believe that something is like actually mentally wrong with Tory Lanez. I don't believe that he's just an arrogant son of a bitch, but that there is like literally some chromosomes missing, that there's something irregular in his goddamn brain chemistry. Because I just don't understand how that particular strategy was supposed to lead him to the goddamn glory. I do not understand it. You pretty much gaslit that woman into identifying you, who she always had the right to begin with. She had no mandate to protect you to begin with. It was a total act of God that she was even being merciful enough to protect you, even after she came to the personal conclusion that what had happened to her was intentional infliction of harm, and not just a matter of a good friend who got carried away drunk and shit just went completely left that night. And for you to see that you were hanging on by a hair on your chinny chin and to still test and try, bitch, you got exactly what the fuck you were looking for. And I am so glad that Tory fucked around and completely found the fuck out. And Megan didn't even have to do anything at that point after, because the goddamn state picked it up. Tory Lanez is a liar. He's maniacal. He is wicked and disturbed at heart. He's a predator. He's a menace. And, you know, it really speaks volumes about America and about fandom and about black and brown folk who have the audacity to still hashtag free Tory, which is why I'm glad that Breezy is where the fuck he at. Another fucking menace. Lil Boosie having the audacity to insert himself in the situation with Cassie and Diddy, bitch, when you subjected your kids to molestation and rape at the hands of a street hooker because you thought that breaking their virginity as minors at the hands of a grown-ass sex worker was a way to solidify their heterosexuality and their manhood. And the fact that all of these people still have social equity on them, the fact that Chris Brown still sells out stadiums, the fact that Lil Boosie is still held up and has enough clout on him despite what he's done to minors, and because he has the nerve to be homophobic so y'all can live vicariously through his own transphobia and homophobic because half of y'all homophobic and transphobic as fuck too. I realized that the Tory Lanez, the Chris Browns, the Boosies, the R. Kellys, and the hoes and barely having hairline ass niggas that have the audacity to still make space and rationalize these people's foolishness, that these people don't exist within a vacuum. They are actually a byproduct of the sickness of parts of black culture that are out of touch and out of whack and completely fucking disconnected. And the little psychoanalysts on these perpetrators don't just stop at the perpetrators. These perpetrators are an extension of the collective. They are a stillbirth manifestation of a zombied out, dysfunctional part of our own consciousness as black and brown people. These people are the symbolism of more profound dread and injury that has been undealt with, unhealed in our communities. Which is why I'm not shocked that even here today, people have the audacity to major in Meg admitting she lied about Glass, despite proving she was also shot, in order to relieve Tory of accountability. I'm really not surprised that even when a motherfucker done been tried, tested, convicted, and had they shit completely scorched to hell through, that y'all can major in everything else aside from the bona fide fucking provable fact in this case. The fact that some of y'all are majoring in Megan lying about fucking Tory so that y'all can make space to free him and to support his freedom is wild as fuck. Because, you know, while Meg might have lied to the general public, you know who she didn't lie to? The people that mattered. She didn't lie to that goddamn judge. She didn't lie to them goddamn prosecutors. She didn't lie to them goddamn sergeants. She didn't lie to them goddamn investigators. She told the truth to whom the fuck the truth concerned. You know the old saying that you ain't got a heaven or a hell to put me in? Okay, baby, none of us had any relevant substantive power that could have made a goddamn difference as it related to Tory, as it relates to Megan's truth. She told the truth to whom the fuck had the power to make a difference regarding her truth. And even when she told the truth, because isn't it interesting how Nobody had to catch Megan in a lie. Megan was the one who had enough integrity to admit she lied. She admitted she fucked on Tory. She admitted it wasn't glass. And because a lot of y'all are so male fucking identified, y'all would rather hold her to the things she said just so that y'all can justify not holding Tory accountable to not only what he did to one woman, but what he did to two women. And not just did to two women, but did to two black ass women. And then women's community wonder why they're still living in a society where champion for women and protect black women is still largely taken as a joke because you got still so many other black women willing to be the circus clowns. So if a nigga not defending his own self in a court of law is not enough for you, if two black women attesting to the abuse that a court tried and concluded upon and even gave the perpetrator the opportunity to defend himself against and still did not, then baby, you just a lost cause. Okay? And you know what we say about the raccoons? Y'all are actually more dangerous than the outward enemies we have. Because at least those are the enemies people can see. But when the enemy look like you and me, that's another level of compromise. So I don't want to hear not a goddamn thing, baby, about protecting no motherfucking black women because y'all don't even take that shit seriously. I don't want to hear a motherfucking thing about none of that. I already told y'all anyway, I done largely retired from identity politics. So we ain't going to be protecting nobody just for the hell of an identity, girl. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to go case by case and we're going to be thorough. And I accept that even when we go case by case and we deal with all the variables, that there are going to be some of y'all who, even when the proof is just blazing, you're not going to be able to get past your parasocial. You're not going to be able to get past your delusions. And it's okay, honey. You know, even if the Lord was to bring it down on a tablet, girl, if it came down from the Lord on a tablet, baby, get from here. We get it. But thank God that whatever the fuck Kelsey and Megan are working with, that it resulted in somebody who needed to be held accountable actually being held accountable. Whatever the forces are, whatever the interesting moments of rightness on this planet culminate sometime into creating the justice needed and necessary, that it did just that. And I just want all of you who want Tory to be free to realize that he will be, baby, in 10 years, bitch. And on that note, I gotta go. Love you a long time. We gonna return back tomorrow to talk about another ratchet ass black man by the name of Sean Combs. You guys can thumbs up, share, all of that good jazz, baby. If you enjoyed yourself, you already know what to do on the Cash App and the PayPal. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.